Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Monday, June 3rd. We got a lot to get into. All right, we got a lot to get into today. We have a special guest joining the platform. Justin Jefferson just got paid. Large amount of money.
Yeah.
So that's good. Also, we're going to get into Jeff Risdon, his takeaways from OTAs. We went through Tim Twentyman's on Friday. Now we're going to get a different perspective and get
Jeff Risdon is not joining the show. We're just breaking down his article.
I thought Jeff was like, we have a special guest joining the show, Justin Jefferson. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, actually, Eli Ong from Chicago. He covers both the White Sox and the Bears, and he's good at what he does. I think he's from Michigan or he went to school in Michigan.
So he went to Grand Valley.
Yeah, good perspective.
Go Cards, baby.
So it'll be a good show. Before we get into anything. All right, I see the some individuals questioning potentially the Booner path, and I think it's a good segue because we have more merch.
We're strong on the Booner path. Can you click on that one, Jeff?
So we got I mean, come on, we got the Booner path merch up. We have Booner path the hoodie, which is obviously a classic. But we now have the Booner Path 24, lead from the front. Presidential candidate Booner. We have two different variations of this specific shirt. We have the blue and gray, and we also have the America. All right, you got the red, white, and blue.
Oh my gosh! Shout out to Roman, dude. Oh my gosh!
Shout out.
Yeah, Roman.
Happy election year, the Booner Path 24. That's what we're going for.
I'm absolutely speechless. All right, this man, I don't know why. I'm still shocked every time he sends me a design. I mean, these are so beautiful. I mean, we got Run DMG up here, or BMG. We have our, which I love this design, by the way.
I think this is my favorite one.
Yeah, it's the front and back Crunch Time crew design here, and obviously Roman has the definition Crunch Time below it. But new items are on the shop. We have a polo for all of the golfers out there if you want to get right. Under Armour edition. It's a good quality polo. So obviously it's going to be a little more money. We got a new hat, trucker cap. We'll have more different hats as time goes on. But we have the trucker cap up live right now, $19.99, which I'm ordering one ASAP because I do need a hat. But yeah, we got our polos. And yeah, I mean, hey, we got more product coming out. Not at this moment, but it's coming. And we got different variations of the designs I just went through. And we have the lead from the front shirt, which is now live.
Oh, my gosh. The Booner Path right under it, too. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we got the lead from the front Booner Path.
I love it.
So, yeah, you know what? Get your shirts, get your merch. We're going to get some discounts coming here in a little bit for specific.
Get some beanies. Donkey Kong wants some beanies. We'll get some beanies for you, Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Bonjay says, give me a flex fit hat. I got you, Bonjay. We'll work into it.
You guys... I would say as we keep going, if you guys have ideas or the people want something specific, obviously we might not be able to, fulfill everything that everyone wants. But like, if there's ideas that you guys throw in there and we think, hey, that's a good idea, we love that. Like beanies, we live in Michigan, we're in Detroit here. Beanies especially for football season, tailgating and stuff coming up, like that's going to be huge. Things like that, flex fit hats, all of that. The Booner Path merch too. Go get that. Booner Path 2024. I do have an announcement, Booner Path announcement. I talked to Jeff about this on the side. He has been promoted from janitor off the Booner Path. We're going into a battle here. The Booner Path is still at war. It's starting to be known here. I would love all the people to come together here. Buy some merch. Buy some Booner Path 2024 merch. And on top of that, Jeff Iafrate is now an account executive. I don't even know what that means, but I saw it as a title somewhere. He's an account executive on the Booner Path. You have moved up from janitor. You're basically like a manager on the Booner Path.
You're done replacing urinal cakes, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes. You have a desk now.
I was getting tired of it. I really was. I'm honored to have the promotion, and let's work. Let's
work. Let's
appreciate the people too. We don't allow other people to take the path. There's one path and one path only, and that's the Booner Path to the Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions. That is all that there is. That's all that there ever will be. Last year, when the team was down,
breathe, brother.
When there are people that said the Detroit Lions season was over, maybe that's someone with another path that wants to sit there and make a path. But those are people who said the Detroit Lions season was over in October. I came together and I said, we're going to the NFC Championship game, and it happened. So we're taking this thing to the Super Bowl. That's the next step here. Buy some merch, man. Booner Path 24, Super Bowl 24, Detroit Lions 24, Dan Campbell 2024.
Wow.
That is my vice president.
State of the Union address. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Hold a shot.
And to be honest, to all the suggestions, great suggestions, like Kamikaze, a Crunch Time baseball jersey.
Oh, love that.
Basketball. That would look sweet as well. There's so much more coming to the shop. We have stuff already planned that's not on the shop live, but it's uploaded, ready to go before the Lions season. So just to give you guys a little hint. So a lot more stuff coming.
We might do some drops too, like limited edition drops.
Yeah. Oh, like definitely. We definitely have to if there's like a big game, like a big moment of game, like the Craig Reynolds block that happened in Tampa Bay. Like you got to drop merch right after that game for something with it.
There's going to be
Roman will be cooking. He'll know. Roman knows.
Yeah, he's he's the most talented individual I've ever met by far.
Unbelievable. He's so good.
Yeah, he is unbelievable. So shout out to Roman making it all possible. He just hands us it's like, he's basically like a ghostwriter for us in terms of merch. Like he just hands it to us and we just kind of put it up and it's fire.
Cool.
He just kind of hands us the hit record. We just kind of put it up on the website.
Yeah, he's a ghostwriter. Yeah, he's writing the hits.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even know who the guy's name is. I'm not even going to say it.
Drake.
No, not Drake. Who's the guy that writes music and he's like dating Selena Gomez?
Yeah, I don't know.
And he's written like all these big hits. It's that one guy. We saw a guy that looked like him at an event a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that looks like him.
Benny Blanco?
Yes.
Oh,
he writes like every
Selena Gomez.
He's like they're like in love. They're like getting married.
Yeah, that's a crazy crime. That's just
he's
not a good look for humanity.
Dude, songs that he's made, it's like the best songs of all time. He's like made every big hit in the world.
Still no business being with Selena Gomez. Zero.
Well, boys, I have a guy who just got an extension that could potentially be with Selena Gomez in the future, and that's Justin Jefferson. All right. He's a very, very rich man, and he finally got his contract that it was being reported he was seeking. He got a 4-year, $140 million contract extension with $110 million guaranteed. And this was, of course, after the Lions gave Amon-Ra $30 per year. Now Justin Jefferson gets $35 per year, making him the highest paid wide receiver by a good amount. And you know what's funny? Fun fact, he actually makes he signed the same extension or the same contract that Jordan Poole did with the Washington Wizards.
That's crazy.
Who plays in the NBA. And that's Justin Jefferson. And he finally gets the money he deserves and wanted. And with the rookie quarterback, they were able to do so. So, you know what? He's a hell of a player. It is a lot of money, but they had to give it to him. So well-deserved from Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for the guy. He's the best receiver in the game. I don't think there's no denying that. But when you look at that and then you go into what you just brought up, it's going to be a lot of money to be throwing interceptions to Justin Jefferson when you got Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. So financially, the Vikings are going to be fucked, I think. And they're not going to be able really to win anything with Justin Jefferson when you're paying him that type of money. And I know JJ's on a rookie quarterback contract, but you need more than just a quarterback in this division. You need to add assets to the defense, offensive line. There's still a lot of work that the Vikings have to do. And then this also, my favorite part about this is this fucks Dallas more than anything, because CeeDee Lamb, great wide receiver, he's not as good as Justin Jefferson, but he's going to get paid more than Justin Jefferson now, because if you're Dallas, what are you going to do? Let CeeDee Lamb walk? That's a guy that they probably need CD just as much as Minnesota needs Justin Jefferson. So for them, Dallas is getting darker and darker every day, and I love it.
And then too, the first thing I thought of obviously is like, I feel like on our show we mentioned that we think it's going to be around 35, and that's the number it hit on. But now looking back, like Brad Holmes, and he had some interviews talking about where they asked him like, hey, are you pretty conscious in regards to like how early to sign some of these guys before these bigger deals get done? And he said, yeah, because honestly, I don't know if they would have signed Amon-Ra after the $35 million. Do you guys think it would have been more than 29, 30? Because I wouldn't be shocked if Amon-Ra after would have been like, hey, give me a couple million more, just knowing that the market's going to keep moving. Maybe not. But to your point though, Klotz, like now CeeDee Lamb's going to ask for around that much. Jamar Chase right now, he's been out of OTAs. I'm sure he's going to ask for around a similar price. And then like I just got names here. I went and got a list of guys in the next 2 years who are up on contracts, and the market's going to keep moving. And you're going to see all of these guys at least in my opinion, just with I'm not saying these players are better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but just the way the market goes, these guys are probably going to ask for a similar amount, if not more, knowing the market. Like Devontae Adams, he's going to probably ask for an extension next year or sign with a new team because his contract's done in 26. I already heard today Tyreek Hill is probably going to speak with the Dolphins about restructuring his contract because right now he's already at $30 million. He's already getting paid the same as Amon-Ra, basically. But I already heard rumors today that he's going to go to the Dolphins and say, hey, I need some more money because he just signed for 35. Amari Cooper's up after this year, who, like, he might not, you could maybe
He'll get paid more than he should, though.
Yeah, you should say Amon-Ra is better than him, but he's going to get paid. Now seeing the $35 million, he's going to get paid around the Amon-Ra. Keenan Allen's up after this year. And I don't think the Bears will pay him, but some team's going to pay for him a pretty penny for him. DK Metcalf, I know no one's going to sit there and say, but he's going to get paid $28 million. DJ Moore's up in a year or two. Stephon Diggs after this year is going to get paid again. T. Higgins, obviously. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. Like, the market has been set, and Brad Holmes, instead of like waiting, he just said, hey, let's just get the $30 million out, because as soon as that $35 million deal with Justin Jefferson's done, then all of these elite wide receivers are going to go to the table and say, that's where the mark's set. Justin Jefferson in 2 or 3 years is probably going to get even more than that. Give me 30 to 35. So I think we, like, as this gets going, it keeps going, Brad Holmes and the Amon-Ra St. deal is going to look a lot better. Amon-Ra St. Brown deal is going to look a lot better. And I heard a rumor that at the beginning of this year, Justin Jefferson had a deal on the table for $28 million a year, and they both were ready to sign the deal and get the deal done. And something on Justin Jefferson's side held it up and ended up waiting until the end of the season. And now he got 35. So, like, if that shows where the market was at, that just kind of puts it in perspective a little bit there with waiting.
Well, that's why you buy, not that it's low, but you buy low, because as it keeps going higher, and then you decide, well, I'm going to buy it now, right? And now you're paying for a CeeDee Lamb for $35 million. It's very smart by Brad Holmes. This is smart by any GM and it's not just wide receivers, just in general. When you're paying a player and you know that said player, you want to keep him around. It's different. And I'm just going to bring up a quarterback because I would hate to be in their position, is the Miami Dolphins having to pay Tua. That is a situation I would not want to be in. But for this, and talking about a different position with wide receiver, Amon-Ra, yeah, of course, easy decision. You want to pay him and you want to get it done. And Amon-Ra probably could have been like, well, let's wait a little longer, but he just wants to get the deal done as well. $30 million is a lot of money a year, annually. And there's a lot of things that go into that. That's just the base number. But, of course, there's a lot more that go into it. But this is smart. That's my takeaway from Brad Holmes, getting this done super early, because if you would have waited, and if Amon-Ra would have been like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what Justin Jefferson gets and try and get close to that money, he could have easily gotten a couple more $1 million. So this is smart. CeeDee Lamb is not $4 or $5 million better than Amon-Ra annually. But again, it's not always who's the best, it's who's next to get paid. This works across all premium positions. If you're a premium player, like, it's just how it works. Jamar Chase is going to get a boatload of money. It's just how it works.
He's going to have to be the next paid, because that's what he's going to be telling Cincinnati. I'm the best wide receiver in the league. I have the best chemistry that you could possibly get with Joe Burrow. We went back to LSU. And I changed this offense single-handedly with Joe, so I need it. But another guy that, if I'm sitting on the Lions roster, who I'm even more incentivized now, is Jamison Williams. Because to Booner's point about Amari Cooper, I'm not saying J-Mo is Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper is going to get paid, and probably more than he should. And if you're Jamison Williams and you haven't produced much in your career, you got 3 more years on your contract, and you know that damn well, even if you ball out to 75% of what you were, you're going to be getting paid even more now, just because the talent that he can have. If he doesn't re-sign in Detroit, there's going to be a team that probably spends a bag on him if he goes and gets these 800, 900-yard seasons like we think he can in Detroit.
Yeah, and I mean, the comment there from ETN that, like, since he should have paid Jamar Chase sooner, like, that's dead. Like, they should have done it a month or two ago, like when Brad Holmes did it. And that's how you see the difference, in my opinion. And I'm not saying the Cincinnati GM's bad, but you see what Brad Holmes is doing is he's very aware of these situations, and you take that into account. And the fact that Jamar Chase, like, you probably could have got him cheaper than $35 million a couple months ago, and now that you waited a couple months, it's probably going to be 35 as well, or 34, or 30. Like, you're going to have to, you're putting a lot more cap there. And the same thing with T. Higgins now, is the T. Higgins looks at this deal. And before, I don't know if you guys heard the rumors, T. Higgins was asking for, I think they said like a Michael Pittman type deal. At that point, like, that's not that crazy. I think he might be at like 25 million. I could be wrong, but it's in the 20s, mid 20s. that's not that bad of a deal for a T. Higgins type player. I don't think personally. But now that you see the wide receiver market again, now T. Higgins is going to say, "Hey, give me high 20s now," and it changes everything.
Right. I bet it's baseline 30. If you're a wide receiver that's the DJ Moore mark, it's baseline. You're paying me 30 because if Justin Jefferson's getting $5 million more than me, I think it's fair to give me 30 because it's a whole tier in payment. So I just think that's how you look at it.
And the wide receiver contract thing today too. I get like Adam put no wide receiver is more worth the JJ's contract. I agree with that. JJ is the best in the league, but knowing that the market's going to move, like the list that I named there, some of these guys are going to get deals done at the end of next year and extensions. They're going to get paid around a similar amount because that, like the Adam Schefter said it today, that the market for wide receivers is going to continue to grow now. Like that 35 was not the ceiling anymore. It's going to keep getting pushed up and pushed up and pushed up. It's going to be just like the quarterbacks essentially now. And he said right there, he said isn't like the quarterback market. From the sounds of what happened today, and like Adam Schefter coming out saying like, hey, this market's going to keep moving, and they're going to be the highest non-paid quarterbacks in the league. So I wouldn't be shocked if it does get moved a little bit more.
Yeah, that's you really look at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, what can he do? You know, what because I know it's years away, but you got to think with the cap continuing to kind of slowly rise and with the receivers setting the market or trying to get close to setting the market, when you're Marvin Harrison and you put up, you know, amazing numbers and you go to get that extension,
it can be like 45 a year.
Go up, yeah.
In 3 seasons, he's going to be asking.
Yeah, like I don't think, you know, DK Metcalf will set the market, but like Marvin Harrison Jr., yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
None of these guys are going to go over JJ in the next year or two. They're going to get, like Klotz said, like 30 now. You're going to see guys getting in the 30s a little bit.
I could see CD or Jamar getting more than JJ just because they leverage they have.
I could see them get I can see them getting more guaranteed money because they always try to get something over the other person. Mm-hmm. Like if they can't match that, they'll be like, well, give me 111 million guaranteed. You know, they'll get something.
Because think about if you're CD Lamb though, because we all agree Justin Jefferson is better, but Dallas needs CD Lamb. If Dallas loses CD Lamb, Brandon Cooks is like 31 years old. They don't have an actual running back. You're going to make your number one receiving threat Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson. You're not going to find another CD Lamb, and you're still not winning what you need to with CD Lamb. So it's one of those things where they're just pinned against leverage. Dallas this offseason has been probably the most confusing situation I've ever seen for a contending team. Where you say you're going to go all in, you lose your DC, you lose a ton of defensive talent, and you add Ezekiel Elliott. You're watching all these teams make moves, whether it's going to acquire somebody else or within their own locker room, and you're still not even doing that.
They still need to pay Dak Prescott. Like Dak right now is going through contract negotiations too. And he's someone, this is the second time in like 4 years that they've been in this contract situation with Dak. And now they're going to have to pay Dak like $55 million. They're going to have to pay him an insane number. And they're going to have to pay CD Lamb, probably one of the top wide receivers.
Here comes Micah.
And then Micah. So you're like, they're going to have to make a decision. And it's who, like, to me, Micah Parsons, he's like your cornerstone on your defense. Like I would have to pay him and CD Lamb. Those are the two guys to me. And then whatever happens with Dak, if Dak wants to stay and franchise, I don't know, but there's no way. And if you do pay all three of those guys, then you're playing with pennies after that with all the other players that you have, which is not a good position to be in.
They're going to be paying probably a combined $80 million a year to Dak and CD. So that's what they're going to have. And that's why they're getting younger on their offensive line, which is the smart way to approach this thing. If you have to spend that much money on two players, and defensively, Micah's not. I mean, he's going to get paid. He's going to want money. So, there's a lot of that. But hey, welcome to the NFL. Yeah, and they paid Trevon Diggs. So, the Lions. I think the overall my takeaway is great by Brad Holmes for getting this done early. Not just him, but also Jared, because you can't wait any longer. Looking at who needs contracts coming up. Like if Dak got, and he's probably going to get closer to 60, but like if I'm Jared, and I know he's not the type of, it's not his character, but if I'm Jared and I'm, looking at Dak's, I'm looking at his contract, like, listen, if he can get 60, I should be getting 50, I should be getting 60, but if not, I should be getting right around that number. So, hey, whether you like the contract or not, you can't deny getting an extension done earlier when other guys need it around the league, then it's smart. Very smart.
Because I'm trying to think in between, you got CD, Jamar, and then in between those two and Marv, who's going to be like the wide receiver to break the president? Like I'm trying to think of like the next one after those two. So I'm trying to think of the rookies that were. You got Puka this year. I can't think of the next guy, so it honestly might be after these two sign. Probably be a little bit of a minute until I'm
Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison and
I'm
like
saying like anybody in between.
Garrett Wilson. I know he hasn't put up the number.
Garrett Wilson actually, I think, will get paid eventually.
He's going to get paid.
Yeah,
you have to.
Chris Olave, no. Drake London. Those were the only guys in that draft class. That Jordan Addison from Cody Angle.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jefferson on the same roster. You can't put that much in the wide receiver.
Well, that's what the teams do with. I mean, with you look at the Eagles with AJ Brown, they paid him, but they gave Devontae a contract, but it was like 24. What is it, 25 a year? And then you look at the Dolphins, they gave Tyreek 30, but they gave Waddle 25. Whatever it was. Like the number twos are kind of forced to take a little bit, but that goes back to the point you guys made, which is like desperation. And like the Cowboys don't have a Jalen Waddle or a Devonta Smith. They just have a CeeDee Lamb and some guys around him. They got a good tight end, Jake Ferguson, but those teams can afford to be like, okay, you got to take a discount. We're paying this guy who's way better. This is better than you, quite frankly. And you were paying him 30. So Lions, they have some guys on rookie deals. You don't have to pay Sam Laporta for years. So and James.
Honestly, this draft class now, the Marvin Harrison one with like Malik Neighbors and stuff, like this is good. That's going to be a draft class that gets paid. You would think with the talent. Roma Dunze, the Bears are going to have to pay him or let him go. I'm sure there's going to be that draft class. I think maybe, Klotz, to your point, I think maybe it's like the CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. And then the next draft class, maybe you could say the Garrett Wilson, that Chris Olave, like depending on how well those guys do in the next year or two. And then it's that Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze draft class. Brian Thomas Jr. maybe. Throw that in there.
Xavier Legette.
Jalen Polk.
Ricky Pearsall.
So I'm not a guy. I just like Jalen Polk.
Ayuk wants Amon-Ra money, and he's a really good player. But, man, I don't know. If I'm the 49ers, see you later. I mean, they can't really afford him anyway. At least if they tried to pay him. And to me, wide receiver is something that I don't feel nowhere close to how I feel about running backs. I want to make that very clear. Wide receivers, you have to pay. But there are some where you're like, is he generation? Is this guy so important to our team that we cannot afford to lose him? I think you can make that case with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can make that case with even CeeDee Lamb. The guys like, plenty. Justin Jefferson, obviously. There's plenty of receivers that you'd be like, okay, we have to pay this guy. Ayuk, if I'm the 49ers, I'm not sitting there going, man, we have to pay Ayuk. Like, I'm just, and he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not on that necessity have to get a contract on. Some other team will throw a bag at him. Watch.
Yeah. Who would you rather pay? And I know Klotz's answer, because we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. Who would you rather pay, though, if you're going to have to pay one? Ayuk and Debo, because they already went through that Debo path, and how did that work out? Not great. I think like if they're looking at a outside of Christian McCaffrey, a weapon to keep and say, hey, we'll spend some money, I think it would be Ayuk over Debo, and they would go, let's go Brandon Ayuk, and let's go Christian McCaffrey, and we'll move on from there. And who is it? Ricky Pearsall there as well.
That's gonna call me crazy. It might, maybe not year one, but by year two, Ricky Pearsall will be their best wide receiver, because Brandon Ayuk, he's very talented, but there's so many times, especially late in games, where he'll be wide open, he'll be running across her, and the ball will hit him right here, tink. And that was his biggest issue developing into the first 2 years of Brandon Ayuk. It was like flashes of greatness. And then, Brandon Ayuk's about to get benched this week because he just had a bad practice week. It came into the game just so up and down. And I think Ricky Pearsall, the guy that's just be consistent. Debo Samuel, to your point, Booner, I think if I would re-sign Ayuk just because Debo's so banged up at this point and the way that he plays the game, it's not going to be able to last that much longer. So between those three, I think Ricky Pearsall is probably going to be the better one of them in the next 2 years.
I mean, you could re-sign Brandon Ayuk, and then by the time his contract is essentially up, then you're having to re-sign Ricky Pearsall, and then you can make that decision. They timed it up very well, I think. They probably had that in the back of their head.
But like to Michael's point right here, I do not think Ayuk is worth 30. But that's another guy that's like in the T. Higgins category where it's like by default, just because Justin Jefferson got signed at 35, he's going to start the conversation at 30. He might not get it, but he'll get somewhere close to that, even if it's not on the Niners. It's something I've learned just covering sports now, and it's not always who's the best. Yes, it is partially about that.
But if something about it, man, it's just who's next to get paid. And are they worth it? Obviously. It's not always just who's next to get paid. You have to be talented. But, man, there's some contracts you look at and you're like, how? They had leverage, and they have one hell of an agent. I mean, that's just how it works. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ayuk got 30. I don't know from the 49ers, but someone. Someone, desperation, you're going to spend some cash. Watch it be like a team like the Panthers or someone like that who have money. They didn't pay Brian Burns, and they're like, we'll just throw it at Ayuk. Someone. I don't think the 49ers will do it.
That's what's going to happen with a lot of these wide receivers, though, is they always do find a home, and they find a way to make money. Remember the Christian Kirk contract? How, breaking that was?
It seemed crazy when they did it.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are, hey, we're not going to pay that. But then, the Jags are, hey, we need a wide receiver, and we need someone that's going to make an impact on this football team. And they were willing to kind of set the market with Christian Kirk and go that route. And they just did it because they needed someone, and they wanted someone in that spot. So I think, when you do look at the T. Higgins and the Ayuks and Debos and, those guys, someone's going to – Keenan Allen, think about that. The Bears will not re-sign Keenan Allen. And I actually, today, when we have the Bears right around, that might be my second or third question to him. Is, hey, what's this room look like? Because there's no way the Bears can afford to keep Keenan Allen after this year, because he's going to be asking for $30 million for 4 years towards where he's at in his career. So there's going to be the wide receiver market's really interesting to me right now. It's going to be interesting in the next few years, especially if they're the highest paid non-quarterback position. Them and defensive edges, I would say, right? Are those two positions?
Yeah, it's going to be defense, because I think it goes like Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. Who just got re-signed a couple weeks ago. Nick Bosa is one of them. It's Justin Jefferson, and it's another defensive player, I'm pretty sure.
So it's interesting, though. Those position groups are very interesting, how they're going to go the next few years.
Yeah, and the Lions still have they have the most cap. One of the teams that have the most cap. I think they're top 3. I could be wrong on that, but they're up there, and they have money available. So again, whether if you're on the side of whoever's getting overpaid, still finding ways to have cap space. And they have plenty of young talent they got to resign. But when you have a GM like Brad Holmes, that's the part you have to be really good at, is hitting on draft picks. And that's why the 49ers have that type of leverage. It's because they just keep hitting on draft picks. And I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be the next one. I mean, it's just how it is. Hell of a route runner. I'm curious. I mean, that offense, I think he's going to absolutely thrive. I think Brock Purdy's going to love him. Absolutely just love that guy.
Because he's going to be how he plays the game is exactly how Kyle Shanahan wants his wide receivers to run routes. That is the most ideal fit for Ricky Pearsall to fall into, because he can do slot, over the middle, deep, and just all the motions they do. He's so quick. He's just going to exploit DBs.
And I mean, easy as common, Matthew Judon trade deadline.
I love that.
He did give it away, but and that's why I love Easy. We're in lockstep here without even talking about it. But you asked me to do my homework. All right. After I brought up Hassan Reddick, you didn't like that very much. You fellas
appreciate you doing
that conversation. So what I was going to bring up today, later in the show, we're going to get into Matthew Judon, okay, and why it makes sense potentially for the Lions. He does need a contract extension. He does.
Hometown kid, Michigan man.
He would Rex. He would cause some havoc. All right, he would. So we'll talk about that later in the show, though. All right, we will.
That would be a huge.
That was my homework assignment. I went back, got in the lab.
That's why you got promoted on the path, man. You lock in, you get the job done.
Yeah. It is what
Matthew
it is.
Judon is a Grand Valley. I see some people in there. Matthew Judon is a Grand Valley graduate. He did.
Oh, is he?
He's from Grand Valley. Yeah, Matthew Judon. I went to school with his brother, his older brother. Great dude.
Real quick too, before we get to Eli, because
don't make me make a phone call
here to talk some Bears. So I can't wait for that. We're going to get into Jeff Risdon's takeaways, and one of them he did talk about Matthew Betts. Okay, he did give him praise, and I'm going to be fair today. I'm the trolling Jeff. We're going to get serious, and that is of course later in the show. But right now, we're going to welcome in the man who was gracious enough to give us his time today. And we talked to a Packers beat writer. It went really well. And I thought, why not reach to my good friend Eli, who covers the Chicago Bears and the Chicago White Sox for WGN News out in Chicago. Speaking of Grand Valley State University, he is an alum as well. Please welcome to the show, Eli. And by the way, I'm going to try and pronounce his last name. Eli, call me out if I absolutely butcher this. Eli Ong. Is that how you pronounce it? I think it is. Welcome in,
yes,
Eli.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is. Can you guys hear me okay right now?
Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm perfect.
Awesome. Cool. Pleasure to meet you guys. Pleasure to be on the show. Yeah, go ahead.
No problem. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I'm glad I got your last name right. People, I get called Iafrate, all this stuff. So I understand. I completely relate to you. But Eli, I want to ask you, okay, and I'm just going to start it with this. All right, and we talk about a lot on the show. Obviously, the Chicago Bears. We're a Detroit-based show, so we talk a lot about the Lions. And I've been a big Caleb. Notice I've been a big Caleb Williams fan. Okay, because he's a player that I've loved watching in college. Unlucky for me, he lands in Chicago in the NFC North, so now it's a little awkward, Eli. But I want your thoughts on just what Ryan Poles has done for the Bears. I think he's been, I would assume, a breath of fresh air for a lot of Bears fans. But what'd you make of the draft and what Caleb Williams can be in this division with some new quarterbacks, at least with Minnesota and Chicago?
So what I see from Caleb Williams, he's kind of like a departure from what the Bears had in Justin Fields. For those that are familiar with Justin Fields, he was very even-keeled, even demeanor. He never was up high or down low. What you get with Caleb Williams is a dude that wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's fiery. He is a grade A leader. Leading up to the draft, I was like consistently digging, waiting for something like negative to come out about his personality or like the background. There's the people that will have their quips about him painting his nails or wearing something out of left field, like a fashion shoot or something. But his teammates love him, absolutely love him. Like, we'll go to war any given day with him. And so, like, from that perspective, it's been great. But like, also, he's coming into a situation that's probably the best the number one overall pick has ever had, in my opinion. Not many quarterbacks that get selected first overall walk into a situation where he's probably going to have a top 10 defense in the NFL. He has 2 wide receivers that are Pro Bowl caliber. And then they also drafted Romo Dunze, who everyone gives the profile of a Pro Bowl receiver too. He has a Pro Bowl running back in the backfield that Detroit Lions fans are very familiar with, and DeAndre Swift. And he has 2 quality tight ends, and Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett, who they signed this offseason too. So it's a very positive situation to walk into. But I also kind of want to like pump the brakes on him a little bit too, because he is a rookie quarterback, and the Bears do have a new offensive scheme they're learning this offseason. And it's kind of a departure from the traditional Bears profile, if you will, because the Bears have always been a run first, defensive centric team. And they bring in a guy like Shane Waldron, who last year I think was 5th in the Seahawks were 5th in the NFL. And like pass plays. Yep. I think they threw the ball like 62% of the time or something like that. So like, there's going to be a steep learning curve, not just for Caleb Williams, but also everyone else that's in this offense, because it's kind of a departure from the system they had last year.
Yeah, Eli, I appreciate you joining the show. Real quick, I did throw out there, Grand Valley guys, Saginaw Valley, go Cards. Have to throw it out there. I get it. I had to throw it out there.
I can respect it. I respect it. Guyac represent,
Oh yeah, always. I do want to ask you though. You're kind of in the, over there in the NFC North, obviously, and in the Bears circles. Two-part question. One, what is the perspective over there in Chicago and fans and that organization there of what the Lions have kind of built up the last few years with Brad Holmes? Because we did have a Packers beat writer on a couple weeks back, and he kind of went at Brad Holmes a little bit on our show here and was like, yeah, we really don't like what he's doing. Him taking all these random chances in the deep rounds, and it's kind of crazy. And then kind of leading off of that too, do the Bears feel like with the Packers and the Lions are doing that, this is a season right away with Caleb Williams that, hey, we can compete and win the NFC North?
So background on me, born and raised Jackson, Michigan, went to school on the west side of the state. I was a Lions fan growing up, so I still pay attention to the team pretty tightly. And I can say that a lot of people in Chicago view if they're not rooting for the Bears and they have to pick another team that they'll watch and say, let's see them have some success, it's the Lions. From my experience talking to Bears fans, they are still a rabid, avid fan base that has delusional expectations in my mind. because this time last year they were like, we're going to win 12 games. We're going to win the division. We're going to playoff game. I'm like, guys. If this team overachieves the team that went 7-10 last year, it would have been 8 or 9 wins, because that's just the realistic expectation of where the roster was. And this year, like, it's the same deal. Like, you'll talk to a lot of fans that would be like, we're going to win 12 games, 13 games, 14 games. The division's wide open, yada, yada, yada. But, like, when you talk to the realists, or I talk to other, like, sports professionals, journalists in Chicago, I think the idea is the ceiling, or, like, what's realistic, I would say, for this team is probably 10-7 wild card. And you get to that wild card game and you can see what you can do, because anything can happen in the playoffs. We saw those Packer guys go down to Dallas and hang 48 on the Cowboys. So, like, you catch fire one day and you might win a playoff game. But that's kind of where this team is at. And as for where I see the Lions, and a lot of people, like the sports reporters and anchors that I work with, they see the Lions as like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Like, they should win the division. I think 12 wins is completely reasonable, again, if not more. And I would say the one thing, there's 2 things the Lions needed to do this offseason. 3, I keep thinking. Upgrade the secondary. You did that with Enos Rackstraw and Terrion Arnold in the draft. You need a pass rusher opposite of Hutch, which I don't know if he's there yet. You got James Houston, which if he's healthy, I think he contributes. But also, like,
they don't got it, Eli.
Yeah, they don't. But, like, you also need to replace Jonah Jackson, and you guys went out and got Kevin Zeitler, which I thought was a fantastic pickup and makes that O-line even more beefier than it already is. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole gist of where the Lions and the Bears stand in my mind, and where I think.
Yeah, Eli, and thank you for joining the show. Kind of something, sticking with the Caleb Williams narrative, I think something that any rookie quarterback needs in order to have some success year one is having a reliable running game. And I know you brought up DeAndre Swift, who most Lions fans are very familiar with, but they're not a running back that they're scared of due to his injury history. But Roschon Johnson, I genuinely do like. I liked him coming out of college. He obviously doesn't have a lot of wear on his tires backing up Bijan in college. How is this backfield going to shape up? And do you think it's going to be one that Caleb Williams can lean on when he needs to?
I think that's the entire plan with Caleb. Like, I think Ryan Poles entirely wants to have a well-rounded system, a defense that will get the ball back in the offense's hands, but also, like, have a very reliable running game. And, like, Roschon Johnson coming out of Texas, I think that was kind of the sleeper pick of that draft for the Bears. I liked him a lot too coming out of Texas, just because he has plus athletic traits, plus burst. He's a bigger back. And he didn't have tread on the tires because he was behind Bijan Robinson at Texas. It's going to be like a 3-headed monster in the backfield for the Bears. Like, Swift will be the feature back because in terms of just, like, physical talents, he's, I would say, a step ahead of Khalil Herbert and Roschon. But each back offers their own piece to this offense. I see DeAndre Swift as the third down back that's versatile. You can probably run him outside, have him run a variety of routes in the route tree. He can handle the ball himself too. His running vision is there's highlights out there of him not being able to hit a hole that I remember in Detroit. But, like, then Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson can be more of your thumpers inside, and you can just rotate them in and out and keep each other fresh. And they should be able to be relied upon in that sense. And beyond DeAndre Swift's health issues, because that is always going to be an issue with him, like, the Bears' offensive line too is something that I kind of have a question for. Or, like, their best lineman is Tevin Jenkins, who also can't stay healthy. And then you have Darnell Wright at right tackle, who I think did good as a run blocker, but he needs to develop as a pass blocker himself. There's like pieces there, but, like, ideally, if you talk to, like, Bears faithful, they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to have a good running game, and we won't have to, like, rely on Caleb throwing, like, 35, 40 times a game. And if everything goes right, you're going to see a lot more of not only DeAndre Swift, but I think Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. They're each going to get probably in the realm of, like, 8 to 12 touches each a game, and it'll fluctuate based on who's doing well. But that's kind of the picture.
Okay.
Yeah, and what do you also think about just sticking with the offense and there, obviously the wide receiver room? with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and now Rome Odunze. We were talking about a couple segments here before you hopped on. We were talking about the wide receiver market getting set, and now Keenan Allen, his contract is up after this season. DJ Moore only has 2 years left. Is that something like kind of for the future of the Bears? Because we've talked about before how they have spent some money, kind of went all in a little bit on some trades the last couple of years. Ryan Poles has, and now like it feels like maybe this is the year. Like, hey, you guys got to do something because I don't know if you could pay Keenan, Rome, and DJ Moore in the future. What is that kind of aspect and that outlook there in Chicago?
I think they were always set on Rome at 9. Not just because of the profile he has as a talented wide receiver, but he's kind of a safety net too because of the Keenan Allen contract situation. Like you look at a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown getting paid for the Lions. I forget the details on his contract off the top of my head. I think it was 4 years, 120. If that's right,
about 30 per. About 30 per.
Yep,
about 30 per. So, like, you have a guy like Keenan Allen who came off a career year last year, and he still missed 3 games. He had 90 catches, 100 catches for like 1,200 yards, something like that. And ideally, like, he's the type of player that will give you that every single year. And if I'm him, I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract and then going back to Ryan Poles and being like, hey, if I play 16 games, I can give you 100 yards or 100 catches and 1,500 yards. That's going to be the benchmark of what I want. So the Bears, Ryan Poles, and like Kevin Warren, the front office have to find that happy medium with where they want to pay Keenan Allen, because I guarantee you they'd like to keep him around. But it becomes a money issue of how you balance the rest of the roster. And Rome Odunze is kind of that safety valve to like pick up Keenan Allen's production if it doesn't end up panning out in the long run.
Yeah, and Eli too. And for me, at least, I'm a big I advocate for offensive coaches. I think that's where the NFL is going. I think you especially look at young quarterbacks. I think the best pairing is a rookie quarterback and an offensive head coach. That's just what you've been seeing. Now the Bears are there's the other angle of it, which if you have a defensive head coach, i.e. D'Amico Ryans, but you have Bobby Slowick, who is a really good OC, they make it work. What's kind of the narrative in Chicago with Matt Eberflus? Because at least here on the show, we think, hey, this is make or break for Eberflus. At least for me, with Caleb, just looking at Chicago, you're thinking, okay, you have a great offense, you have a great defense. And Eberflus last year started to come along. But what do Bears fans think of Eberflus? And what do you think the leash is on a guy like that? And how much pressure he's under to just show some progress this year? I mean, if they win 6-7 games, Eli, I can make an argument he's gone regardless.
I think so. I go back to I think Eberflus has the locker room, has a strong feel for his players, and I think his players play hard for him. And the game I use as evidence for that is the Minnesota game in Minnesota last year. They beat the Vikings 12-10. They didn't score a touchdown. It was 4 field goals. Justin Fields throws a 45-yard dart to DJ Moore to put them in field goal range to knock it in near the end of the fourth quarter, yada yada. But it was a slugfest, ugly, boring football game where you really had to scratch and claw to pull it out. And if Eberflus doesn't have the locker room or his players don't believe in him, at that point in the season, you're not going to win a game like that. So, like, I think he has a little bit longer of a leash based on how his players play for him. But there's that aspect. So then moving over to the offensive side of things, he doesn't touch the offense. It's all Shane Waldron's control. He's a defensive-minded coach. He'll call the plays on defense, but he gives a lot of leeway for Waldron to establish the system that he wants to put in.
Right.
And with that being said, also, if you talk to the old heads of Chicago sports media and you ask them about the most cursed position in all of Chicago sports, a lot of them will tell you it's the offensive coordinator position for the Chicago Bears because they can't figure out how to put a freaking run or a passing game together. So, like, let's say Caleb Williams week 1 goes out and he throws like 260 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. The city will burn. All Chicago will be on fire. It's going to be the same old Bears, kind of like how people are with the same old Lions, like before Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes came. Because, like, that's something that I would say the two fan bases have in common. The Lions, just in terms of like historical, like a lack of historical success. With the Bears, it's a lack of historical quarterback play. They can never get that right. So like there's this like Stockholm syndrome effect. If Caleb Williams doesn't go out and perform well right off the bat, I think there's going to be a sect of like 30-40% of Bears fans are just going to, riot in the streets. Not literally, but like they're going to be that level upset. And you go on Twitter after the game and it's the sky will be falling, essentially.
How much confidence? I was real quick. How much confidence does the Chicago fan base and the people in the building have with Shane Waldron coming over from Seattle? Is there like a sense of like, hey, he can turn this around? Because we've talked about it a couple times on the show. Him some success in Seattle, and like, can he do that in Chicago?
I think they're moderately optimistic about Shane Waldron. I think he buys himself a lot of fanfare just based off the fact of what he's done with Geno Smith. Geno Smith comes into Seattle. He's a journeyman backup. No one really sees anything in him as like a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. Gets in the Shane Waldron system, and then he turns into this guy that throws for 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, which if Caleb Williams does that in Chicago, it's the greatest season in Bears quarterback history, quite literally. Right now, the benchmark for that is Eric Kramer in 1995 for the Bears threw 3,838 yards and 29 passing touchdowns, which are both franchise records for a single season. So I'm different from fans because like I have to like look at this through a lens of like without bias or fanfare to a certain extent. So like if Waldron's system goes in and, Caleb Williams throws for 3,600 yards and 20 touchdowns, like 15 picks, I would call that a win for his rookie year. But like, I think the fans aren't really ready to bust out the pitchforks just yet. Even if it like goes bad, like right off the bat at the beginning of the year, I think they'll be a little bit patient with them.
Definitely dark days when the GOAT of your quarterback era in Chicago is Jay Cutler. But kind of switching over the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Johnson burst onto the scene last year. And I know his rookie year, he had a really solid rookie year, but then he kind of disappeared, and he had an all-pro season last year. Do you think there's going to be another player with Johnson playing at that level, Montez Sweat really stepped up, and TJ Edwards doing his thing? Do you think there's another player on this defense that can really stand out this year that not a lot of fans around the NFL know about?
I think that player is probably Jaquan Brisker, or they did add Kevin Byard too to the secondary. The secondary, I think, is the strength of the Bears defense. You're pretty strong all the way around. You have Jalen Johnson, who you can argue is one of the best cover corners in football. Jaquan Brisker is a big physical box safety that's going to give you 100+ tackles in a season. He's going to be an enforcer in the run game. Kevin Byard comes over from Tennessee with an all-pro background and the experience that comes with that. And I would also say like Tyreek Stevenson, the corner opposite of Jalen Johnson, is someone that has a lot of potential. He's 6'2", he's 205, he's got long arms, he's got like 34-inch arms. Yeah. He's great in single man coverage. The thing with him, and it's the thing that a lot of like rookie or young DBs struggle with, is just the adjustment from the college game to the pro game, because like how you get off at the line is different at the pro level compared to college. There's a lot more physicality you're allowed at the college level, but like he has all the physical intangibles of being a one-on-one cover corner that can play really well at the NFL level. So if you're looking for players to keep an eye on that create a little bit more buzz, definitely Jaquan Brisker in my opinion. And then it wouldn't surprise me if Tyreek Stevenson makes a big jump this year too.
Yeah, because I remember watching him at the U. He's just like, he reminds me of Xavier Rhodes, where it's just he's built to just, like you said, just put him one-on-one with anybody. He can cover any X wide receiver, but at the same time, he's just very aggressive, and that's what got him in trouble.
Well, Eli, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. You guys can check Eli out on X at the Pen of Eli, and keep up the great work, my friend. And hopefully we can talk to you when the season gets here. We can get an update.
Oh yeah. Anytime you guys want me on, just give me a little bit of heads up. I'm glad to come talk some Bears football, and we can all hopefully crap all over the Packers and the Vikings.
Well, we can split right there.
Yeah.
There you go. Eli,
appreciate you, Eli.
Good talking to you.
No problem, guys. Take it easy.
Yep, always. And there you go. Eli Ong. You can check him out At WGN News, digital sports writer, does great work. And of course, he's a good friend of the program now. So shout out to Eli. Great conversation. And you know what? The Caleb Williams stuff, I did lead with Caleb Williams. I will admit that. I will.
You did. The people loved it though. They, you might as well get a Caleb Williams jersey at this point. I love hearing.
Hey. Well, sorry. Bears can lose. They can lose every game this regular season. That's fair. All right. We can have it both ways. All right. Caleb Williams, fan of him. Bears lose every game this regular season. That's how we're.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I like. You know what I want to say. I really do like hearing the perspective of other NFC North teams.
Yes.
And kind of get a feel for that, because we can have all of the conversations we want and like go at the other teams and say how bad we think they are and this and that, but actually hearing like, hey, this is kind of what they're building over there, because there's always that blinder, like asking the Packers beat reporter before about Brad Holmes and hearing kind of actually the perspective in Green Bay of what they have about the Lions, whether it's right, we think it's right or wrong. Like it's good hearing that side of it, like the Bears secondary or kind of where they're at with Caleb Williams and Matt Eberflus. I didn't realize yeah, obviously he stuck around, so they liked him, but it seemed pretty optimistic about Matt Eberflus potentially even staying one more year after this. So
people liked him more than Dusty. Which Dusty, he got some shit when he stirred the pot. That's why I kind of like Dusty. He wasn't afraid of the smoke. I like
Dusty
Eli.
Came in hot with Brad Holmes.
They're both great, and that we're definitely gonna have him on, because, like you said, Boone, it's healthy to have different perspectives, because we're as Lions, we cover the Lions, so we're a little insulated because we have Lions content creators on. We talk Lions. Well, we have to get someone else from a different fan, especially in the NFC North, someone that covers a different team. Yeah, like Dusty came in and was like, you don't draft an off-ball linebacker in the first round.
That's like unheard of slander now, at least after the 2023 season. Yeah. You just can't judge Brad Holmes at that point. So when we hear that stuff, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
But like, to be fair, like we are kind of, and it's like this for most fan bases, even beat reporters and people who cover the teams, as much as you try and be like as non-biased as possible. It's like you are in a bubble here in Detroit. Like, just you don't hear any of the criticism from Brad Holmes until they do start losing. But when things are good, then it's like, okay, it's everything's good for us here in our bubble. But the outside's looking in like, no, we hate them. Brad Holmes sucks. That guy's gonna fail. So it's they're to hear kind of the negatives and positives is a little thing. And two, we should bring this up again. Tom Grassi, he's doing his thing. If you guys go to our Twitter, we're still running the giveaway for a Detroit Lions jersey to support. Tom Grassi is doing his international tour right now. I believe it's for St. Jude. Yep. Yeah, so if you guys go retweet and donate, and just comment under the receipt that you donated, and this Friday we're going to pick a winner. So it's Grassi is doing that international tour at the moment. So
yep, someone will get a Lions jersey. You donate to the charity. It's a win-win. You donate to charity and you potentially win a Lions jersey. I mean, and there's no follow required or anything like that. We just want to help out Tom. He's done great things for us, so we want to continue to support him. And
he's grinding right now too, by the way.
He's an absolute animal. And we got to get him back on the program eventually too. He's always a great guest. But who also is just a great man to have in the room? This man just does not fail, and that is BMG. Welcome to the show, BMG. Look,
Gentry. How are we?
What's up, baby?
We're doing good.
How we doing?
What'd you think of the Bears conversation there? What'd you think?
Okay, so I only watched the beginning of it, but for the most part, it was good. Like you guys said, all the kind of like getting the Packers beat writer, the Chicago Bears beat writer, and getting like the different views from them and what they really think about the Lions and really just the NFC North in general is always good insight. So I love those interviews. Sad I couldn't make it in time, but it was good.
Who we got to reach out to? Like, honestly, I think would be a really good one as a Cowboys one. To ask them what the fuck's going on in Dallas.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Their whole off season, how they think of the Lions after all the amount of wins that they've sneaked out of. I just think that'd be a good perspective.
Hey, we're working on it. I'm with you.
Let's get a Cowboys one.
I'm with you, Klotzy. That is the next one, because I think that would be entertaining. I think
that for sure would.
They would. Yeah. I just, what? We should have a goal. Get every a beat writer from every city.
We should make it like a 32-week challenge. It'll be 31, but we're
Let's
just
do
going
it.
down.
No,
Pretty good
I'm
idea
down.
though.
We do need to, when the season comes around, we need to try and get a beat writer every week from the different teams. And we tried to do that last year where we were at before, and in the night show that I was on, and we got like 2, and we just didn't happen.
Well,
so
how we're probably going to try and do it, depending on guys' schedule, is get the opponent we're facing someone every week. So
That's
I mean,
Jeff.
Welcome, Jeff.
I'm confused what you were thinking I said.
Join us.
well,
what were you thinking I said?
That's on me.
Thank you for putting
no,
in
it's
contact,
great entertainment. I think I only did like, to be honest, I wasn't there the entire season, but we got a good amount of beat writers. We had some guy from Kansas City come on the show and absolutely trash the Lions, and he got absolutely roasted. So
I'm still trying to figure out what happened here. Like
Jeff
blew everything right over.
Booner, now you know what it's like when that's like you do that once a show at least. And it's not a knock. It's Booner's Booner. He's always going to be Booner.
I mean, I
there's always at least like one lock in Booner. And that Jeff just had a lock in. Yeah.
Jeff just tried to play it off, and Booner still wasn't having it. He's like, "Wait."
Booner was saying how he used to try and get a beat writer every week.
I said this year we should try and do one for every week for the teams that we play.
Okay.
I said I tried to do that last year, and we got a couple of them, but we couldn't do it every week. We didn't get responses, so
it's great content. We will. We'll play the Packers twice. We'll get Dusty on twice. All right, that'll be.
I love that.
That'll be fireworks. But hey, we do have some great local coverage here, and one of those people is Jeff Risdon. He does a great job. He's one of my favorites to listen to. And again, shout out to Michael, because I read his article. He's been giving the people information regarding OTAs, but he actually had a 30-minute breakdown. So shout out to Michael for sending me it. I watched it. I sent it to you as well, Boone, and I just got to indulge in everything he said, because there's some things that he said that Tim Twentyman didn't say on Friday that kind of I don't want to say contradict, but it's new information. All right. I don't want to act like either of these guys are wrong or anything like that, but there's different viewpoints. Going back to that point of different viewpoints, and Jeff Risdon had some things, and I'm glad I can get to it, because again, on Friday, what we read with Michael Badgley, what we read,
the money
about Matthew Bads, but we read something about Michael Badgley. We did not appreciate it. All right. We sat there and we were like, what the hell is this? Why is he already looking like trash? According to Jeff Risdon and what he saw, Badgley, he was showing more leg strength in general. All right. He looked improved. He was consistent hitting field goals. And by the way, we read a little snippet. He didn't have a great day, but that doesn't absolve everything else he did. So and Jeff Risdon made a really good point really quickly in the 30-minute breakdown, which you guys can go check out. I'll probably put the link in the description for you guys. Give them some love as well, what they're doing over there on their channel. But he said that the media in Detroit, and he's not pulling a page out of Goff's book, but it tends to focus sometimes on the negative. Like JMO, for example, they'll bring up the drops, but they won't bring up what he was doing out there on the field and making plays and really showing improvement, making some spectacular catches and running smoother routes and all that stuff. Like people will be like, well, he dropped a couple balls today, whatever. So I get what Jeff was saying with that. But Michael Badgley, guys, we'll just break this down to start us off. He noted that the leg strength has potentially improved. I was watching the video, and Michael also sent me this. He had like 15 field goals in a row.
Yeah.
He's on a heater. So what do you guys think of that information? Maybe on Friday we were a little aggressive. We were a little aggressive on Michael Badgley. Maybe swayed a little bit.
It's easy to be aggressive when you read that he came up short on a 54-yard field goal at OTAs. Like, I think when that's the information you're fed, I think there's only going to be one reaction. You're not going to be like, well, what about the other kicks? When you're getting told that the dude in pads and shorts and pads came up short on 54-yarders. So yeah, we react aggressively, but I think anybody would.
Yeah,
to your point about what Risdon was saying.
Like the two kicks that we were talking about or that we read about were like in 2-minute drills, weren't they? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not 100% certain. I'm gonna be honest.
I swear they said they were doing the 2-minute drill or whatever, and they drove down the field and they couldn't make those. So if he's missing in like the game like scenarios in practice, then that's something to worry about. Like if he's making 15 straight, just kicking back and forth, then like, yeah, that's obviously good. But if you put him in like a game like scenario in practice and he's missing the 250-yarders, then like I think we kind of have like a right to kind of, question it a little bit. Obviously making 15 in a row is good, but if you're putting him in those game like scenarios and OTAs and he's still struggling to make them, that's where you kind of get worried. But like I said, I'm not like overreacting too much because it's still early, but we do need to get the kicker situation figured out. So like taking note of these things is, definitely good.
Yeah, and I mean, what Jeff Risdon said too, I went back and I watched this, Jeff, and it was interesting too because he said the angle that he sat perfectly on the side to where the kickers were kicking, so he was able to see most of it in all practice, them kicking. And he mentioned that Michael Badgley made the 15 straight, and 3 or 4 of them were from 61. 3 or 4 of them were from 54, and like he was making kicks. Like the narrative obviously got put out there, and it was the Tim 20-minute article that he missed those 2, whether it was a 2-minute warning or not. Like he missed the 2 kicks. I'm sure Turner missed some kicks as well. It's easy. Like for us, like last week, you just hear the story of, hey, he missed 2, Turner made the 2, right? Like that's easy to say that, but then you hear the 15 straight and you hear the 360 yarders and the 350 yarders. Yeah, like there's more to it. So it's easy. Obviously, when there's OTAs and we can't be there and we're doing a show, it's easy for us to overreact and say, oh, like this is all we got from it. The only thing we heard is this little sample size. But then when Jeff Risdon brings it up and said, hey, there's a bigger sample size to this, it gives you more to that. I think coming out of it, at least when I watched the video today, and I was like, okay, all I know is, a little to Gentry's point, is there's going to be a kicker battle, whether Jake Bates ends up getting brought in, whether Turner gets, stays on, or it's Michael Badgley. I don't think, and I'm at the point right now to where I'm just going to wait until training camp to even have the conversation about what's going on with the kickers. Because for all we know, like the UFL is still going. Michigan Panthers are still playing, so no one can talk to Jake Bates until after they lose in the playoffs or win the championship, whatever happens. So no one can talk to him anyway. So we don't even know where this kicker battle is going to end up going. And you're really not going to get the real context to this, to your point, Jeff, until training camp starts. Like it's going to be OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and we're just going to keep hearing these small like bits, about it, and it's never going to have context to it. So I'm not going to sit here and just at this point anymore when it comes to the kick. Like there's going to be a kicking battle. That's all we know, and we know it's going to be a big deal, and they better figure it out by the time week 1 comes around. That's the context that I want out of all of this. But to Jeff Risdon's point, there is a lot of negativity to the JMO, to the Michael Badgley thing. I think that's in every single organization and fan base. So right. That's not just the Detroit Lions. It's when you have a good football team and you're looking to be perfect in every position, you're going to have kicker battles. You're going to have a guy like Jameson Williams who's going to take criticism, and you're only going to hear about his drops until he performs, and you're only going to hear about the kicking battle when a guy kicks very well. And you're going to hear a lot about it when he kicks bad. So I think I decided today I'm going to steer very slowly around the kicking battle until training camp comes around, because there's going to be a new guy in there, most likely Jake Bates.
Did you see your old flame got released, Jeff? From the Commanders, Brandon McManus?
Yeah, that's not going to probably happen, though.
You know what?
Your old flame?
Me.
Guess who's on our roster right now? Michael Badgley. Guess who's not?
At the time, I thought he was a very good option. Little did I know he's a piece of shit human being. Okay, I got more. Speaking of context, it's Monday. It's Context Monday. We're getting a lot of context, and I got context about Brandon McManus. That is on me. Piece of shit human being. Glad he's not on an NFL team. And again, based off the reports, I don't know the situation, but based on what I read, yeah, he wouldn't have got brought in. He would have got brought. But I do agree with what you're saying, Boone. Maybe the kicker thing, James Turner based off what we read, James Turner looking pretty good. But with more information, yeah, and then Michael Badgley, he's fine. He's fine. Would we like to ideally eventually upgrade? Yes. When you look at how the NFL's decided by usually most of the time 3 or less points, that's just how close that a couple plays could change outcomes of a game. And when you have a kicker who you can rely on to hit 50 plus, it's great. But a guy who can consistently hit 40, 45, 35, that's what you're looking for. And if Badgley can do that this year, at least just hold down the position, then yeah, that's fine. But again, we can have this conversation now in June, but obviously things change when, if he does miss a big kick in a big game, then people are going to start freaking out. But right now in June, yeah, like let him compete. And if he's hitting 60-yarders, we'll see. We'll see, like you said, Boone, when training camp comes.
If if we just heard like he missed those first, 3 of the 5 or 4 of the 5, and he missed 2 of them short in the 2-minute drill, and then you don't hear he went 15 straight and hit the 360-yarders and 350-yarder, I would be like if we never heard this Jeff Risdon thing today in that YouTube video, I didn't watch that, I would be like, okay, boys, like just like we did on Friday. But now hearing it, it's good. Like it's a good thing to know.
That's foul. King Horse, that's foul, and you know it. That's foul. By the way, get a car from Easy, man. He's killing it, dude. And he's just the guy's just talented. All right, that dude could sell me a penny. I mean, Easy's just great at what he does. So check out. In all seriousness, I know you're the Badgley. It's a joke, but go get a car from Easy, man. He's a real one.
Sell you a penny?
He could sell me a penny. Yeah,
I need to see that in action.
He could.
Do you remember when we were at where'd we go, Boone? And the cruise line caught up Jeff.
Oh my gosh, we're covering the Michigan Panthers game, and I mean we just walked by, and I mean just some random person just Jeff just hooks Jeff in, and we waited 20 minutes while Jeff got sold a cruise line.
Getting sold a cruise for like a half hour, man.
Anyone can sell you anything.
It was a vacation to Vegas, guys. All right, you can get reeled in easily.
60% off.
Asked, well, she said, "Do you have someone? Are you with someone?" I said, "Yeah, of course. I can take my girlfriend on it, And she was pitching me this thing. I go, "Okay, I'll listen." And then I found out. See, they always hold the contingencies after you talk. So then there's like, we got to do this. I'm like, okay, hold on. Now I realize I made a mistake here. Okay, I made a big mistake here. But initially,
we're trying to cover a football game, and this man Jeff's talking about Vegas trips with some random lady for 30 minutes, and we're just sitting over there waiting while the game's going.
Good deal.
I had to go over there and save him. I had to break it up, and she still was gunning.
You almost got sold.
Yeah,
I had to keep moving. Jeff tried to lure me in himself.
Well, at least for me, I got someone to take. So I'm like, hey,
a deal's a deal, Jeffrey. I'm not mad at you.
Got someone to take. But hey, in all seriousness, the Badgley thing, glad it's past us. We got some context. All right, he's looking better. Also, what Jeff Risdon mentioned is the mentorship between DJ Reader and Broderick Martin, which I think is very interesting. DJ Reader, he's embraced Broderick. And I'm glad this is the type of character that the Lions continue to bring in, is these selfless human beings. Okay. And DJ Reader is just that. Like, there's players in all realms of professional sports where whenever they get brought into a situation, it's like, no, I got to get mine. And then you can just learn by watching me. DJ's been working with Broderick and just trying to help him. I've been taking notes and bringing notes along with them. And I think this is great for Broderick. Like, to have someone that really plays the position he's trying to play. He's been really good. One of the best at the position he plays. And Broderick, who lost some weight. Yes, we haven't seen him with pads. But boys, this is good news for all the Broderick Martin people out there, to have DJ Reader kind of helping him along the way. He doesn't have to do this. That's not in his contract to help Broderick. He honestly could sit there and be like, I could care less, but he's doing it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the Broderick Martin is like the development year last year. We get in the conversation all the time with Klotzy, an argument about, Broderick, he's our, like, I think we convinced him a little. I think we convinced him a little bit. I think we convinced him a little bit that you have to wait for a guy that gets developed. The developmental year doesn't mean you go out there and get 5 sacks. That means you're not going to play and you're learning. That's what Broderick Martin is doing. And the fact that now he has DJ Reader, one of the best vets in the league at that position, and now Alim McNeill, to sit there and say, hey, let's learn from this. Let's figure out, like we know you have the talent. It's the thing I talk about all the time. It's like when Brad drafts these guys, especially from schools, like smaller schools, it's like, all right, you have the talent and the size and the intangibles. It's like, how can we get that into the NFL? Learning from DJ Reader, learning from Alim McNeill. And Jeff Risdon said it too in the show there, that it was visibly like shown that Broderick Martin looked like he lost weight. Like, in his face, you could tell like he was skinnier, he was more in shape. Like, you could tell that he's worked on that this year. So I think this is like the best. This is like all you want when you get to a certain point in your organization, winning football games. Like, you want to be able to have vets that can help these developmental guys and learn from. So then when they have to move on, you have that next guy in line and so on and so on. That's what I think Broderick turns into. Like, he's going to be that next guy off the bench this year. I've said it a couple times. I think he's going to be like that third guy that's able to kind of be in that rotation there when a guy needs a break. And then when one of those guys leaves, whether it's Alim or DJ Reader, guess what? You have Broderick Martin that's going to be able to step in, and he's learned from both of them, and he has the same size and everything to go with it.
No, that's the value you get of signing a guy like him. Obviously, you know he's going to go out there and perform, but him being an extra piece in the locker room, an extra, God, I can think of it, extra leader for your younger players. That's what really matters for that type of guy. And obviously, you got Terrell Williams. He's going to be great for coaching those young guys up. But what he really means and learning from a guy that's been there and done that, it means a ton for those defensive line guys. And Broderick's only going to get better year by year, you know, learning from a guy like DJ.
Yeah, great news. Great news.
Yeah, what'd you think about that? What'd you think about that?
Great news. Great news. Doesn't fit my narrative. No, realistically,
Doesn't fit mine either. But it's
that would again, and I think I will be proven more wrong. I don't think the people that think Broderick Martin's going to just be this mammoth inside and be an All-Pro, I don't tend to align with them. But does this make me look a little bit more wrong about what I've been saying as far as Broderick, to Booner's point, being a solid rotational piece in year two? Absolutely, especially when you look at the weight loss. Everything that I said, he's showing to prove me wrong. So I hope he does. Obviously, I'm not going to be standing on a hill and hoping that a Lion player does not progress. So this is great news. Yeah.
Has someone came to you and said that they think he's going to be an All-Pro next year? Like, I'm confused on where that's came from.
There's definitely people in the chat when he was drafted that, like, there was the hype of, look how big this man is. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to command a double team off rip. We go to training camp and you see how big he is. And there was a lot of hype around him. And there's a lot of people that still, looking at Brad's draft history, when you look what he's done in the third, fourth rounds, he drafted all pro caliber players. So there are people that are like, Broderick Martin's going to be a Pro Bowl, all pro defensive guy. And that's just something that I don't agree with.
It's weird. Okay. It's a weird narrative. It's a weird. I don't know. Was that you? Is that at you?
No.
Did you say that?
No.
I bet if I scroll up in this chat, there will be somebody that says Broderick All-Pro type of person.
We'll love to see that.
Well, that's part of being a fan, the fan experience. You know, you love your players.
There's why, right?
Year 4, though. Year 4. I thought you were talking about this year.
You know what I do think? I think Broderick, All-Pro, little aggressive. All right. I think Broderick can be it's a little different. Like Broderick, I don't think you put like numbers, you know, like DJ's always had like 1 or 2, 3 sacks a year, but you just know his presence. I think Broderick can get to that point where maybe not DJ Reader's level. I mean, he's a top 10 defensive tackle, nose tackle in the league. That is, I mean, that's a hit if he becomes that, but at the very minimum, just play a good amount of snaps and contribute. I think he can do that.
I think he, like, for him to be like a perfect pick, in my opinion, perfect pick, be a Big Grove, be a Grover Stewart, and then that's like
better
exactly what you need.
That's a better
Big Grove on a rookie deal, Klotzy. How about that, huh?
Hey, got to prove it, but I'd be happy with the Boone. I'd be wrong.
Looks like Sue's long lost cousin. You know, that's what
you got paid way more than I thought he would too. 3 years for 30.
Comment, though.
Suspenseful Habit says it's the same with Manu. Holmes isn't thinking or expecting him to make an immediate impact, but down the road and having faith in your coaching staff to develop these players is huge. He's spot on. That's at least the vision. That's at least the vision with all these Plavaki and all these guys.
It was like with Broderick Martin. That was like a month ago when we were battling it out about Broderick Martin and like trying to convince Klotzy, like, you can't base last year off of that, because that's like basing Giovanni Manu's rookie year to Broderick Martin's rookie year and being like, what happened to Giovanni Manu? Why didn't he? Like, it's
and the reason
not time for him. Let that man sit. What happened to Kobe Sorsdale?
I agree, but the reason why I agree, let the man sit. But the reason why we want parallels was the defensive tackle position. Tyson Alualu was out there.
Yeah, but that's not Broderick Martin's fault though.
But my whole point is where my concern comes is why would, in my opinion, I would rather try that 3rd round pick out, at least throw him out there. You go to Manu, he's got Penasul and Taylor Decker. There's going to be limited reps there, so you have to let it progress. There was opportunities where I could see some situations where Broderick Martin could have gotten on the field and they did it. Obviously, they didn't. That's fine, but it's going to leave some skepticism out there for people like me. It was like, okay, I could easily see Broderick Martin being in. Why do we just got Tyson Alualu, whose prime was with the Steelers 5 years ago, now just playing out of nowhere?
So yeah, okay.
And then I look at when they also bring in a guy like Mekhi Wingo. Mekhi Wingo, if he reaches his ceiling, he's going to be starting in front of Broderick Martin. So I think those are two guys that there's going to be competition there. So they brought in more talent there. And I think I would have more confidence in Mekhi Wingo, maybe not day one compared to Broderick Martin year two, but I think Mekhi Wingo will be a better player than Broderick Martin. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But that's my opinion.
And you're allowed to have that.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, you're not putting like, if you drafted Broderick to be a developmental piece, and you're just like, hey, we don't have anything, let's just throw Broderick in the fire, even though we know he's not ready, he's not going to help us, and it's just going to put more pressure on him. It's going to make the fan base go at him. It's going to make his career basically cut off. It's like, why would we just do that to the guy? Like, we drafted him for development. Like, they knew from the jump, hey, this guy's probably not going to get snaps this year. Maybe one game, maybe two games, which that's what happened. The same thing with like Colby. Like, Colby just got thrown into the fire last year. Never was supposed to play. Never was supposed to even be in that position. It ended up happening to where they needed to. He got thrown into the fire, and now guess what the narrative is around Colby? Klotz, your narrative around Colby is he sucks because he got thrown in there and he looked terrible. And no, that's the same with the Broderick though. Is like, if Broderick would have got,
hold on,
but if Broderick would have got, well, I'm still going. If Broderick would have got thrown into the fire like Cole, no, it was a hypothetical question. If Broderick,
it's
a question. Go ahead.
The thing is with Colby, you can't deny that those reps that he got in year one are going to help him down the road. That's my whole thing with Broderick. Colby, those reps, yeah, they suck now, but Colby has game reps where he has somewhat of an idea of what to do against because he played in big games too. He does,
but to the point that I was trying to make that you cut off was Colby. When we have the conversation about Colby the last few months, is as soon as I bring Colby Sorsdale up for the future, you laugh and you'll be like, "Oh, Colby, he's terrible," because he got thrown in. That's my point. Is that he got thrown in there when he was supposed to develop for a year or two and not even touch the field, and he got thrown in there. Oh, he got good game reps, but guess what? Now guys like you and the fan base are going to sit there and they're going to be like, oh, Colby, like, he's nothing. He's a 5th round pick. He looked trash when he went out there. He was never supposed to touch the field this year, and he had to. If Broderick would have had that happen to him and he would have had to play significant snaps in big games because someone got hurt, he would have got cooked, and then we would have had a different conversation right now.
I had zero expectation for Colby to go out there and perform. Colby did exactly what I thought he would do.
And now you laugh at him.
My expectation stays the exact same. I think when they drafted him, great depth guard piece for down the road. Now, my expectations are still the same. I do think that now that he got game reps, it's better for him down the line.
Yeah, I don't. The conversations we've had in the past, I would have to decline. I don't know what they're laughing at over here. We're having a good conversation here as a fellas, man.
I'm sorry, boys.
That's a good battle.
It's Shift God's comment.
Dude, Shift God. Oh, you just.
I hope I made a little bit of sense there. I mean, I felt like I did.
I get what you're saying.
I don't know if I was going crazy.
There's parts where we veer off. I get what you're saying as far as the development, but I just have more skepticism than you do. That's all. So
I love, but it was a hypothetical question.
I mean, it was like me. It was like a side turn. It's like when the parents ask you a question.
It's rhetorical.
Yeah, rhetorical. That's the word I was looking for. It's like, dude, don't answer it. This is a question for you not to answer. And you just kept trying to answer. You're like, well, you asked me a question.
I love it. I love it when you guys go at it. It's great. Well,
I'm sweating over here, dude.
DJ Reader was he is mentoring the great, the All-Pro Broderick Martin, as some would say.
The All-Pro. You're 4. Wait on it.
Yeah. PFF came out with a defensive tackle ranking and an edge ranking. So Lions made those lists. And I know what you're thinking. You're in your head thinking, okay, defensive tackle, yeah, Lee McNeill, DJ Reader. Edge, they have 2. Aidan Hutchinson's a given. Who's the other one? Who could it be? Who's the other one? Well, let's start with the defensive tackles. All right, so they have PFF DJ Reader ranked 13th among other defensive tackles in the league, and basically what they write here is a 335-pound defensive tackle. Reader has always been more than just a run stuffer, but he has consistently improved his ability to create pressure throughout his career. His last 2 years in Cincinnati were the best of his career from a pass rushing standpoint, and he can single-handedly destroy run plays with his power and quickness as he maneuvers in the backfield. Yeah, and he was ranked at least on PFF. He was in the realm of some pretty good defensive tackles. So I'm glad. Hey, this is woke sports, according to you as well.
We got to get that as a shirt too. That'd be great. Shirt.
Woke sports.
Great. Yeah. They also have Alim McNeill on here, and Alim McNeill came in at 15, 2 spots below DJ Reader. They were at a former 3rd-round pick. McNeill has improved each year of his professional career and was a star in 2023. He earned an impressive PFF grade as both a run defender and a pass rusher, resulting in an 86.8 overall grade or mark that ranked him among the best players in the league. If McNeill isn't done improving, he could shoot up these rankings with an even better 2024. And that contract's coming around, which I don't know what it is. Players, when they're due a contract, it's not that they like sit around and just play ball and then their contract year, they're like, all right, lock in. But for whatever reason, like you're playing for your future. You're playing for your future, man. You're playing for a lot of money.
Alim's going to be at the end of this season. He's going to be in the top 10 of this list, maybe like top 7. I think he goes out there and just dominates this year. Especially you have like DJ Reader next to you now. You're expected to go out there. Now you have another guy taking on some double teams there. Go out there and just absolutely dominate. What was the sack total? Did we already do the sack total this year? Did we already do the sack total when it comes for Alim McNeill? Did we talk about that already?
I haven't. I don't know if we have.
We've talked about it like in the past. I think me and Jeff both said like between 8 and 10. I don't remember.
He was at 5.5 last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I probably did say that 8 and 10.
I think 8 to 10 is fair. And if he does that and he does what he did last year and stops in the run game and dominates in the run game, he's going to be a top 10 defensive lineman in the NFL. He's going to pass up DJ Reader and he's going to be asking for that contract.
That's what I was going to ask you, Booner. You think he passes up DJ Reader on this list?
Yeah.
I think the addition of DJ Reader obviously is going to help Alim so much, but do you think it actually propels him past him?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to year 4 now. He's younger, and like I think his ceiling, like two different kind of defensive tackles, but like, I do think so. I think if he goes out there and gets 8 to 10, it's gonna be like Justin Madubuike. Like maybe not as big of a jump, like to where what did he have 12 sacks, but it's gonna be a jump to really. This is an absolute.
He was on pace. He was getting like a sack a game, a sack, at least.
So if he stays healthy, like that's the type of jump that you kind of want to expect out of Alim McNeill is the Justin Madubuike type of deal to where, hey, go out there and give us 8 to 10 and dominate, especially with DJ Reader there and Hutch.
I think Alim will definitely, like when you look at these lists, stats wise, production wise, without a doubt, Alim will be up there. But I think DJ Reader, without a doubt, will have more of an impact because what DJ Reader will do for Alim, he's also going to be doing for Hutch because they're going to be all 3 of them are going to be on the line together. So it's hard to say. But at the end of the day, I think DJ Reader will probably have the better season, but Alim will still be going nuts production-wise. But he won't be able to do that without DJ Reader there.
Well, the edges, Aidan Hutchinson came in at 6. He was top 6, according to PFF. Hutchinson ascended, Hutchinson ascended to an elite level in his second season, earning a 94.4 pass rush grade, his 101 quarterback pressures, 101 quarterback pressures in the regular season, ranked second to only Micah Parsons. His pass rush win rate also leaped from 12.2% in 2022 to 21 point. That's actually impressive. I do like the pass rush win rate. Now that is true.
What a jump! Doubled it
in 2023. Oh. Yeah, a hell of a jump. That's literally almost a 10% jump in pass rush win rate. Which I look at that pressures. Obviously, they do matter. And 101 is a shit ton. You're second to Micah Parsons. But the win rate is because people, I feel like the narrative with Hutch, and at least from my time now being in this space, is like, oh, he's a one trick pony, that's what he is. But if
that spin move,
the spin move, it does. He pulls it out when he needs to, and it works. But the 21.3%, man, like. I don't care what he's doing. He's winning one-on-ones, and that's what he's. I mean, I'm sure they're throwing some double teams at him as well. So, not much to add here. He's a hell of a player.
The one-trick pony thing is just like an easy way for people who don't like Aidan Hutchinson to have something to go at him with. Like, who cares if he is? And guess what? He isn't, though, because like he's added moves. There's been people and offensive linemen who came out this year that went up against Hutch and said he's added different pieces to his game that's made it hard to block him. And he can just dominate. He can bull rush you, and he will dominate you. He doesn't need to do a spin move. He will bull rush you and dominate any tackle in the game, like besides Penei Sewell. So, like, Come on now. Like, and give that man some respect. He's going to be top 5, top 4 at the end of the year. He's not going to be 6 next year. He'll move up into that elite class with the Max Crosby's, with the Nick Bosa's, with the Michael Parsons, and that's where he's going to be. 101 pressures.
TJ Watt, Boone.
TJ Watt, number 1 in the NFL. But like 101 pressures, Jeff.
Dog.
Go get 110 this year. Guess what? And you have other guys in the DJ Reader there. Guess what's going to happen? Add 5 more sacks, and you're at 16 sacks on the season. Wow. Like that man's going to turn some of those pressures into the sacks year 3, and you have a better secondary, and you have as much as the defensive line isn't great that we don't love, it's still improved. Like everything's been improved. He's going to go out there and that pass rush win percent, like that's crazy. He doubled it.
Yeah, Hutch he's going to get much better this year. Obviously, getting to the quarterback with the additions that we made on the defensive line, but having more time with the defensive backs. Just think of all those pressures he had last year and the guy they just got away or whatever. Just a little bit more time with that defensive back room. Some of those pressures are going to turn into sacks just organically. And then, like I said, you have DJ Reader, you have Alim McNeill, you have the help of Marcus Davenport, hopefully, and then James Houston too. So there's a lot of opportunity for Hutch to, turn it up this year. And I think he's going to do it. And for the one trick pony stuff, I never bought that. I mean, obviously the spin move has been highly successful for him. And then it had its times where he struggled, but to call him a one trick pony is just, it ain't it.
Yeah. You're not second in the NFL in pressures being a one trick pony, not to mention what he does in the run game. But just if you want to talk about Micah Parsons, the Lions defensive line, you would like to see more upgrade on the edge, but the Cowboys, they didn't add anything and they lost a lot. So when you look at just him compared to Micah Parsons, adding DJ Reader, to Booner's point, if you go out and get 110, you're probably 1 or 2 in the league again. I'm sure there's somebody in the league that's going to have a nice season along with Hutch, but I think all pro is what you should expect out of Aidan Hutchinson. And honestly, at this point in his career, if he doesn't get that, I think it'd be slightly disappointing.
I mean, and I want to tell you guys who's ranked above or he's ranked behind. So he's 6th according to PFF on this list. He's ranked behind. Number 1 is Myles Garrett. Number 2 is Micah Parsons. Number 3 is Nick Bosa. Number 4 is TJ Watt. Number 5 is Max Crosby, and then Aidan Hutchinson is at 6th.
Didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't agree with the order, but I don't mind the players. If that makes sense. I don't agree. I agree with you guys. TJ Watt's the best in the league, but the players I don't really disagree with. I mean, these guys are all like.
Well, technically, like we say, Hutch is going to get in that conversation. He's in that conversation. He's 6, so like it's those 5 and
according to PFF.
Yeah, well, but like this year, he's expected to be in that conversation. To where if we're looking at projections, like now, like the fact that no one else is above him after those 5 guys, that shows that we're not like the only ones.
And it's not, and all you guys, I should say, just going off of last year, and you could even project it too based off the year they had. Would you take Aidan Hutchinson or what Josh Allen showed you last year in Jacksonville? Because after last,
Hutch.
I'm taking
Hutch.
I
would off of last year. I would disagree. I think Hutch can pass him, but that's why, like, I would put right now. It doesn't show it on the list. Like Josh Allen had a better year last year.
This list is most likely like going into this year, like the top going into the season. And Hutch is going to be top 6. He's going to be right there. That's why I think they put him at 6, because they do know, like, hey, he's like, especially off the playoffs. Like Josh Allen didn't even play in the playoffs, but what Hutch did in the playoffs alone puts like, okay, he just passed Josh Allen because of his playoff performance, and he passed all these other guys that I don't know who's behind him, but I would have to say
Rashawn Gary's at 11, and then Josh Allen's at 8.
Okay.
Then Danielle Hunter too.
Yeah, Danielle is at he's not too far. I mean, he's actually kind of far down. He's at 16. So yeah, that's why Bryce Huff's at 14. Like that's why PFF. Yeah.
My guess it's this year.
I like it. When it doesn't, I don't. So that's how it goes. But yeah, Josh Allen's incredible. I mean, he had 17 sacks last year. I mean, he balled out.
It's like Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson had 17. I'm taking Aidan Hutchinson.
I'm going to hit you with your argument. Watching Hutch, the amount he is, even though he had 11 and a half sacks, dude, he could have had 17 as amount of times as he. So to me, it's close. I don't hate you, but I would still go Hutch.
And I do think Hutch is the better player. That's why I was just asking, like, just based off last season, if you're going to make a list, I think it's hard because they're all about production and stats over PFF. I don't see how you correlate Josh Allen being better.
So would you take Trey Hendrickson?
Late in that season, he was no. No,
because he
I
had
think
17
well,
sacks as well.
Josh Allen is much more athletic. I think he's very involved in the
Yeah.
run game. If you watch back at the last end of the season for the Jaguars, Josh Allen he's not. But when you talk about TJ Watt going out making plays and ending games, Josh Allen was doing that for the Jaguars. That's why, not just.
And you argue Hutch does the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was asking the question. I think those guys are very similar tiers.
Well, this is where I don't agree. Okay, and Wheezy D, love you, but he said he's better than Danielle Hunter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden. Danielle Hunter, that one I can give you. Brian Burns, dude. Brian Burns, I actually liked Brian Burns. Like at one point, I was when the Lions when he was being traded, I'm like, ooh, that could be intriguing.
Get him.
I think with Kayvon, he will be better.
I'm sorry, dude.
Right now, I would take Hutch over both, and Hunter, you could debate it. But
the Thibs thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I would take Hutch over all three of them.
Let's end that conversation because there's someone at our old employer too that used to talk about Thibs over Hutch as well, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, yeah, maybe he has some stats, but there was a point in last season where people were actually comparing Kayvon Thibodeau to Aidan Hutchinson. He's way better, like night and day better. I'm taking Aidan Hutchinson over Kayvon Thibodeau every day of the week. I don't care. You can. I do not care.
And Kayvon, I'm not gonna go.
He had a good he played good last year, but I'm still Aidan Hutchinson is the better player. And that is clear.
This will be the year when you can really decide it because talking about Kayvon, he's had Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams there his whole career that he's been there. And now Hutch is finally getting DJ Reader, but it's also at the same time, now that he gets that, Brian Burns is going on the opposite side of him. I think Brian Burns does have a legitimate argument. Same thing with Danielle Hunter, because when he was in Carolina, he was wrecking games and he really did not have that much help out there. I think Hutchinson's a much more well-rounded player, but I don't think it's fair just to dismiss Brian Burns from that conversation because I think he falls very hand in hand with the Josh Allen tier.
Yeah, 2020, not last season, but the year prior, he had a good year. I mean, but yeah, I don't hate it. But also the other edge that made the list. No, it's not James Houston.
Matthew Betts.
No, it's not Matty Betts. To many people's surprise.
Damn.
It is Marcus Davenport. He made it 32. It was out of 32.
We got him, ladies and gentlemen.
He made the list. Marcus Davenport. And they write Davenport missed most of 2023 due to an ankle injury, but even before then was having the worst year of his career grade-wise. He's in a new spot now, moving on from Minnesota to Detroit in the offseason and had 4 steady years in New Orleans before 2023. The hope is he can return to that form with the Lions. So here's my concern, fellas, with just what was written here in the article. I think Davenport, in terms of talent, you can make the argument in terms of talent, like what he's capable of doing. The biggest thing we always bring up is health. And I think what he's asked to do in Detroit better suits him, given I brought up that argument with Cam Jordan and the year he had when he had a great year. So I think with Hutchinson, I think it'll be a good situation. Him just having to clean up sacks. He can do that. Just clean the play up. Aidan will push him to your side. But what was written there, fellas, a lot of hope, a lot of past, a lot of 2023, 2022, 2021. That's what scares me is like, it's not about the potential or the talent. It's, can he get back to that? Regardless, Brent Holmes is smart because if he doesn't, you're not really signed to him long term. But it's really, guys, you're really banking on 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Marcus Davenport. Essentially,
can you pull the article back up? Can you pull it back up? Because the one sentence, like the very last sentence, is what like I'm looking at. Like the hope he can return to that form with the Lions. If he does, that's huge for this defensive line. But if there's the injury, this is like the Klotzy, and then you guys kind of coming at me a little bit when I say, hey, there's a chance if he does stay healthy, he gives you some reps and he puts the stats up and gives you a couple good games. I just hate the fact like the hope is there. Like, let's hope that he does it. I would rather have someone in the building that's like, he's going to do it. That's just where I'm at. But I do think that if he stays healthy, you have a good edge rusher there. I do believe that, especially if you're rotating. I've seen some comments of people like, screw Marcus Davenport. You have James Houston. Well, guess what? James Houston isn't an every down defensive end. Like that, he's not giving that to you. You're going to need someone in there for the first 3 down or first 2 downs. That's Marcus Davenport, and you need him to stay healthy for that. And that's the commish. That's those guys there. So, yeah, you have James Houston, but you need this guy to give you something this year, or that's going to be the big mark on. Honestly, I'll say here, that's going to be the big mark on Brad Holmes is the edge position. If Marcus Davenport doesn't work out this season, that's going to be like the big, like, what has Brad Holmes not been great at? That man hasn't given Aidan Hutchinson another side there. Even Hutch didn't want to comment on it.
All he needs to do is go out there and get 5 sacks. That's all he needs to do. I think get 5 sacks. Don't be a liability in the run game. And for the love of God, when Aidan Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Alim McNeill pressures the quarterback to your side to what Jeff says one on time, all the time, just win the one-on-ones and take the quarterback down. Don't allow for more extended plays to happen. If I see J.J. McCarthy break the pocket because Marcus Davenport's getting thrown on his ass by Christian Darrensaw and that Justin Jefferson's going and just abusing one of our rookie corners, I'm going to lose my mind. Because to Booner's point, you knew it was going to happen. And right now, if from where I'm sitting, in my opinion, from my perspective, I'm just banking on Brad making a move at the trade deadline. I don't think Marcus Davenport's even close to a solution. He's a serviceable bridge defensive end that when healthy is slightly above average, but when he's healthy is very inconsistent. So I don't have much hope at all. I'm just trying to be real about it, and I just don't think he's an answer. I think James Houston will probably have more stat production when it comes to sacks, but Marcus Davenport's going to be on the field more, so he's got to show up. I just don't know if he will.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have too much high hopes for Marcus Davenport, but like I said, maybe the familiar faces with AG, Dan, that'll help him out a little bit. But like you said, I hope the additions of the defensive line, those guys kind of help bring the best out of him. But as long as he's a good rotational player with James Houston and like all the things Lukas said, JJ McCarthy's not running outside of you for a touchdown, then I think we'll be good. Just kind of make the easy plays. You end up with 5.5, 5, 6 sacks. I think it's a good year for him.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's really about talent. It's just availability. Like that's again. Is he going to be on this list in the top 10, top 15? No, but you don't need him to be. So when you have Aidan, you just need someone to help him out. And DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport, James Houston, obviously Lee McNeill should be enough this year. But if it's not, go ahead, Boo.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to throw out there. I think the bigger storyline that we should start talking about this offseason is the guys behind Marcus Davenport. Honestly, we really haven't. Don't you dare
try to throw Matthew Betts.
I'm not going to throw Matthew Betts, but what I'm saying is like this offseason, like we're going to be like, oh, like, are we going to sit here all offseason and talk about Marcus Davenport? Like, just like we know what he is when he's healthy. We know that. We can't sit here and debate all offseason. Like, is he going to be healthy? Is he not? Is he going to be like, okay, screw that. Like, we know if he's healthy, he's going to produce. That's just like a given. We know that. Say he's not healthy. What do we have then? Okay, the commish, Josh Pascal, maybe Mekhi Wingo, maybe Matthew Bett. Like that depth there, that's the question mark. I think it's like, who's going to step up if he ends up not being healthy, what everyone keeps saying? Who's going to be that guy? And I know you guys don't like the Matthew Betts thing, but I'm going to add him in that conversation because that's going to be like one of the biggest battles on the defensive line. Is going to be that edge, the right edge. It's going to be those 4 to 5 guys. Do those guys step up and take a step forward? Because if those guys take a step forward, that's going to be like the big storyline. And no one's talking about it. It's Jeff, those 4 guys.
Jeff, go ahead and cook because I'm pretty sure we align here.
Oh, I was just going to bring up. I wasn't going to say. I'll let you go because all I was going to mention, just to add to what Booner said, Jeff Risdon did say that Matthew Betts, he looked good.
Yeah,
he looked.
It's a conversation no one's having that we should be having.
He looked good. He said. I'm just stating what he said. And
I
he's
wouldn't be
reliable. I love Jeff. So
I wouldn't be surprised, especially after the NFC Championship game, if Josh Pascal takes a big step this year. I think we always talk about Terrell Williams coming in, and Jeff, you've been high on it since he's been drafted here. The upside that he brings at the second round, yeah, hasn't got that much game reps as you want him to, but when he's out there, yes, he looks raw. But I remember the NFC Championship game, him getting behind the line of scrimmage on a huge play, stopping Deebo Samuel behind the backfield on an end around, which was towards the end of the first half, and it stopped them from scoring. So I think if Josh Pascal, with all the intangibles, all the year 3 talk that we hear from Brad Holmes. I think if there's a guy, to your point, Booner, where it's not Marcus Davenport, and I could even see him in a rotation having more production, maybe not as much of an impact, but he does get his nose in the run game, and I think he can get to quarterback. I think if Josh Paschal does what they intended him to do when he got drafted, he could be in for a big year.
Is Josh
Compared
Paschal
to
the
the
one
other
that hangs?
guys.
Is he the one that hangs
fits
out with
Jeff's
Aidan
narrative.
Hutchinson off the field all the time?
Oh,
I can
yeah.
tell you that.
So,
Well, no.
so maybe there's something.
Well, I
Is that
think
Josh
so.
Paschal playing frisbee golf and everything? I think it's him and Josh Paschal.
He's always with somebody.
I think it's
it
Hutch.
is
I think it's
it
Hutch
is
and Pascal.
Yeah.
So I think those two, like, maybe there's something there. But again, like, I think the conversation with Davenport, it's like, all right, let's just throw this out the window for a little bit, because like, we know the man can play. It's the only way he gets into form if he stays healthy. That's it. That's all. And like, we can have the argument all we want, but I think we all agree if he is on the field and healthy, he can give you something. It's like, all right, if he's not healthy, what are we getting? Like, who do we have outside of James Houston?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Steve a little bit too. Pascal just doesn't have the quickness or bend for edge, but he would be a good 3 tech. I think he's got those. He's got that's what he did well at Kentucky. I mean, he's just play him at defensive tackle, play him on the
Do it one more
inside.
time, Boone.
But if there you go.
The bend.
There. Ooh.
You
I
need
don't
the
know if he
sound
has
effect, Bone.
Is that the wind? Is that? Oh my!
Dude, no, it's just
Damn.
It's the wind running away from Boone. He's moving too quick.
yeah.
Booner, are you good at disc golf or frisbee or whatever the hell it's called?
Never played. I've thrown it a couple rounds, around a little bit for fun, just like, not at an actual course. So I would like to play. I
think
challenge
that'd
Aidan Hutchinson, Josh Pascal. I challenge you.
Ooh, it's out there. It's out there now.
I want to bring this up. All right, I think I stick argument, and I do love his presence. Me and him agreed a couple times today. He said, whatever Jeff says, the fact about Betts is he's the best defensive player in Canada for going on 20 years. What that works out to, we'll see. But Jeff's been disrespectful to guy of his play level. And I've tried to make this, as clear as possible. And I'll reiterate it. I think Matthew Betts is a great dude. Great dude. I'm sure I'm not coming at him as a human being or his character. The question I was asked when we first had this discussion is whether or not he'll make the roster. I said no, because of the depth in the defensive line room. And I just think there's a lot of guys that are kind of on fringe making the roster level. And my initial reaction was, I think Matthew Betts coming to the NFL, transitioning. And maybe I could be wrong here, but I thought there'd be a little more of an adjustment period, and I think that he'd be a fine practice squad player. That was my prediction. I don't think he'd be jobless. I think he'll have a job. It'll just be in the practice squad. But if he makes the team, I'm not going to sit here, and this isn't me coming at sick. This is just to clarify the Matthew Betts thing. If he makes the roster, that's a great thing. It means he showed a lot in this offseason. But I'm still standing on what I said. And me and Booner have a bet in place. If he makes the roster or not, I owe Booner a lunch. And if he does not make the roster, he owes me a lunch. And I'm cool with that. Again, probably a great
pizza.
A pizza? Is that what we're doing? Is it
It's a pizza? Large pizza from where's the spot that we love? Brooklyn. Is it Brooklyn?
Yep, Brooklyn. Great.
One of those honey the honey with the pepperoni and
you want a honey pack on there, Boone?
No, the hot honey on the top. I'm not a spicy guy, but the hot honey with the pepperoni there, that's a great pizza there.
The hot honey?
Yeah, dude, you should try it.
That one's good.
Oh,
Jeff, you've had it. You've had it, Jeff. You just don't know, but you've had it.
Honey?
I'm not a fan of the hot honey, to be honest.
Wait, hold on.
It's not that hot, Klotz. I know me and you aren't.
No. I've had it, Boone.
Honey.
And by the way,
pie.
No, it's hot, dude. It's good.
It's one of the top 3 at that place.
Yeah, it's really good pizza. You will love it, Jeff, because you like a little spice too. And by the way, too, Ed O'Neill put Moots in here. Moots is downtown is great. Great spot.
Moots
We'll do a team dinner there. We'll do a team dinner there.
I'm a big margarita pizza guy. I feel like that's how you judge. That's how you can really judge a pizza spot. Because if they can't cook a good margarita, they don't know what the fuck's going on in there.
That pizza I sent you guys a little bit ago, the place down my street, margarita every time from there.
It's
so
delicious.
Hits.
Sig Argument says, I actually agree with you a lot. I think he's almost a lock to make special teams. That's where we differ. He'll have to do that first to get D. And I agree with that. I think special teams, I could see Matthew Betts being an absolute animal out there on special teams. So I could. Dude,
hey, this is you backing down from your hill.
That would be a way technically to make the roster playing special
But Jeff,
teams.
the special teams, yes, but again, it's the depth. Like, who did we have on last week that I asked
if
the
we're
question?
talking his upside as an edge, that's where I'm starting.
I'm drawing a blank. Who did we have on last
lose
week?
Me a little bit.
Why am I drawing a blank?
What?
We had Doc. We had Micro on.
Micro. It was Micro when I talked about the edge and the depth in regards to the depth. And like, yes, maybe special teams, but like on the defense, you have the only position group that's worse on your defense and not great is that other edge. So you're going to need the depth. That's where the Matthew Betts thing comes in. To where we have him on special teams. And as well, if someone goes down in that edge room, which has happened the last year, you have that backup to be able to do
squad,
that.
you elevate him. You know what I mean?
Man, this guy.
You know, I will not be doing the Steve Wild suggestion, which is if he gets 1 sack, I shave my head. That is egregious. That no.
I thought, but go ahead.
No.
You don't think he's going to be anything? Go ahead, do it.
1 sack.
No.
Let's do 2 sacks.
I'm not for shaving my head, dude. No. You know what it took when I first. By the way, I haven't had that short of hair in a long time, but when I did it took a couple months. It took probably a good month and a half, 2 months.
You were so mad. That was like one of my first couple of weeks at our old establishment, and I had to record your reaction to you getting your head shaved, and you were not a happy camper.
No.
I wish that was like had to happen now. I'd be so weak. You fucking clowning.
That's a bet, dude. You gotta do the bets.
I didn't make it. I didn't even make it.
You made the statement and said you're like, I'll shave my head.
Oh, that. Yeah, I thought you were talking about that with the sack.
Yeah.
No,
dude, I said I made the thing live on air that last year when the Miami, remember when I was all over the Miami Heat over the Nuggets last year, and in the final game, I said whatever points, rebounds, and assists Jokic gets, I'll eat that many Nuggets, and I said it, and then he got like 50 combined.
No, he did. Boone, you were a warrior. I was there with you.
I had to eat 50 Nuggets live for it was like 5 people watching. I'm just sitting there like about to puke eating 50 Nuggets. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. I said it. Had to. Man of my word.
I didn't think Michigan would win the Natty. I just
didn't believe. Didn't believe.
No, he believed. It was the believing that got him messed up.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. No, you're right. It wasn't last year. It was.
You thought it was versus TCU.
I thought.
Oh yeah, actually it was.
Yeah.
Good point.
It was.
And that's where
so
my
you believe
Michigan,
too much.
That's right. You know what? That's right.
Damn.
It started. It started right there. It was the villain was made that day, honestly. All right, let's get to mailbag. We already have a super chat. A couple things we have to acknowledge here. I want to shout out Rut for gifting 5 Crunch Time memberships.
Oh, let's go, Rut.
Shout out to Rut, man. He's always just, he's just quietly just giving back to the
Rut.
So, appreciate you, Rut. That's big time. J Rod, thank you for the $2. His fellas, his B Holmes go shopping, put away money. What do you guys think?
What's the money? What's the money? I sent you that tweet, Jeff. What was the money?
He's got like 60 million. I mean, he's got a lot of money. I'll look. I'll double check just to clarify.
I think it was 40 something.
Let me see. 40. Excuse me. Yep.
Yeah. He might be just saving it for more extensions and maybe the trade deadline if he needs to add some.
Go bring Judon or Cam Jordan home.
I do think he brings someone before he signs a couple people for training camp. A receiver and maybe an edge.
I don't think it will be like any big money with those guys. I do think he saves most of it for the trade deadline and kind of addresses his needs at that point in time, probably an edge, but we'll see.
All right. And to answer that question, I think the money will come, I think, after, people are cut. We'll see. But I don't see him spending like much, to be honest. We'll talk about the Judon stuff tomorrow. We'll get into that tomorrow.
There's only 3 position groups I think he spends on before
we'll get to that tomorrow.
Training camp.
Yeah, but you got to prepare for guys coming down the pipeline that they're going to have to pay too.
Yeah.
That's just inevitable. Ed O'Neill, my guy, appreciate you for being a member for 2 months. He says, I hear you guys at work now, but I'm tired of potential. It's time for someone to step up. We did this whole potential thing last year. Have a good night.
I agree.
It just throws that in.
Hangs up the phone.
Yeah, have a night. I'll listen.
All right, have a good night, boys. I'm going to listen to this one.
Yeah. Shout out, Ed. Yeah, he's right, though. I think it's it's different because there was action. Like signing DJ Reader was action. Like last year it was like Levi. Let me sell you on Levi. And it just didn't.
Yeah, and not to mention,
I agree.
I was gonna say, not to mention, like a lot of these players that we are talking about are the players that really we're talking about, the Marcus Davenports, the Josh Pascals, the Jamison Williams, the players who really haven't gotten on the field. I mean, we really haven't been talking about like the Sam Laportas or any of those guys because they've already played. You know what their potential already is. We're talking about production with those guys, but
yeah,
when you got James Houston, who you've seen for half a season, the only thing you really have to go off of is potential.
It's true.
I mean, yeah, that last year there for sure was that Brad Holmes potential, like, oh, Charles Harris, oh, how about that? Or Core Brothers, oh, how about that? There was, and he like trusted it. And this year there is a little bit of that feeling, but it's just literally that edge side. And they did bring in Marcus Davenport, and James Houston's healthy, and so like it's only to me it's like the backups when it comes to that, like the depth. That's the only kind of potential that I kind of feel like it's a little. All right, let's move on from that.
Yeah, well. Here's some questions here. Jesus. All right, we're gonna get to
what? I'm reading it. Bring them up.
This is absolutely.
Oh no!
Oh.
My king roasted me too.
This is where.
What if Jeff doesn't even
solo
answer?
cam now?
What if his answer is just what side is Caleb in?
Diggity dog. He says, what a name, by the way. Mailbag Jeff, if you call Caleb in bed with your girlfriend, which side of the bed you get? That's fucked up. No. No.
You can't pick.
I'm turning my ass around and I'm out.
Jeez.
I'm
so you're leaving him there with your girlfriend?
Hey,
you're
leaving
Caleb
in bed?
I mean, it's not his girlfriend anymore.
No, it's his. Hey,
are you kicking Lex out and telling her to move?
I mean, yeah.
Like Caleb's in there, right? Get out.
We're like, that's your hall pass. Like, hell no. Are you kidding me?
You're like sniffing the pillow after.
Jeff's is not beating any of these allegations.
What are we
man.
doing? No, you see,
He goes, no, I'm not picking.
That's good stuff.
Jesus, terrible. I don't have an answer for you because that's fucked up. I'm listening to Marvin's Room on the way home, and that's it. We're out of here.
He said Marvin's Room.
Keith, though, Mailbag, Gentry, Lucas, and Booner. Who wears the hairstyle better, Jeff or his ugly twin, the Bears guy? Oh my. Okay, hold on.
Keith,
though, we love Eli. Great
Eli's
guy.
a dog, man.
All right,
Great
he's got
person.
good hair. All right, and you know what?
Got great
we
hair.
both equally have, we care about our hair, and I'm not going to come at Eli for that. All right.
Battle of the hair in the NFC North.
Yeah, I think Keith though said something about me and Eberflus. What Eberflus got hair?
He's got a beard now, dude, and like he's got like a nice trim up. He actually kind of had a little glow up, for being honest, this offseason. It's really weird.
Booner, we need you with a beard.
The genetics
Dude, I've
of
been
the
trying.
are just different.
It's tough, dude. I would love to have a beard. I wonder how I would look.
Probably came back home for the off season. That's what.
He was
Yeah,
in the
Bible is
419
actually-
lined up.
You had to go back to Whitmore High School, located
Klotz,
0.9 miles away from the Klotz residence.
I don't want to
Booner, you
shut
should
down the
grow your beard
419.
out until the playoffs.
I don't know what I don't think I can't do
No.
that.
As the
I'm-
CPO, I will not
Yeah.
represent.
I've
that.
got
Do
it.
it,
Not
Booner. Come
But
on, Booner.
I'm not
man
doing
up.
that. I've tried. It's until it starts getting thicker, then I will.
Yeah, Eberflus does have. I'm looking at his haircut.
Good.
and there's-
By the way, it's not a 419 haircut. I actually have the inside scoop on it. There's a guy in Chicago that cuts hair for like the Cubs and the White Sox, and he went to this guy, and the guy I saw him on a show, and the guy mentioned like I told Eberflus,
Doesn't fit my narrative. Does not fit my narrative.
no way, he just muted me.
Hey,
we don't.
That was for
I
when
thought
you
we
did it
don't
to me.
mute. There's a
Hey,
rule we
that's-
don't mute.
That's when you did it to me.
Look at this man.
Zoom out.
Look at this.
Zoom out. Who's the post?
Lawrence the barber.
I was about to say the
Doesn't
barber
fit my
did his thing right there on the beard. He lined it up,
I think the barber's name's like Funk or something. I saw it.
Look at like. Hey, my head coach would never. My head coach would never. Hey, Dan
Yeah,
Campbell would never.
seriously.
All right. Guy gets his hair cut at Great Clips. His wife probably cuts it, and he rolls in and studies ball. All right. This guy, I don't know.
He looks
Eberflus-
like an AAU coach, like a travel soccer coach in that. Drives around a Honda Odyssey, 2 car seats in the back.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well, Eberflus, it's a good cut, but still a bad coach. Wait, whoa.
The gun guy, he's been in like he's been in the chats at our old place that we worked at for like years now. That's like his thing, is to like go into chats and say, take your pants off. He says it to everyone.
That's great.
Falls into his game.
All right.
Zach, Mailbag, how many kickoffs are we taking to the house this year?
3 at
You
minimum.
put Vaki back there? Shit. Every one of them.
3 is.
2. Dose.
I'll say 3.
I think the minimum of 3.
Two.
There's a rumor. Yes, because the new kickoff rules, like people are starting to say, I've watched multiple things that people in like NFL players are saying, like this new kickoff rule is going to surprise a lot of people. They're adding like the kickoff is going to add like 1,500 plays across the NFL of like live action. And it's like they're going to actually like, they said you could see Tyreek Hill back in the kick return. You're going to see a lot of like big time names in the kick return because of that. No, and you're shaking your head. No, this is like coming out of camps and stuff. Is that coaches are looking at it as another opportunity to score.
That's a disaster. Boone, and I'm not saying you're wrong, Boone, but
no, I'm saying what I'm reporting. I'm reporting.
Yeah, but if I like saw JMO back there,
I would be furious.
I think it's electric. I like electric. I think it's going to be electric. Because hear me out. Hear me out.
JMO or like a Tyreek Hill gets injured on a kickoff, I'd be fucking pissed.
Well, what you guys got to well, this is the thing, guys. With the new kickoff rules, is the kickoff team cannot leave until the other team touches the ball, until they catch the ball. So like there's going to be, and they have to kick it within like the 10 to end zone. They can't kick it in the end zone anymore unless or they get it at like the 30-yard line. So like, dude, you're gonna have guys that have like insane speed catching the ball at like the 10 when the other team can't even run yet. And you're going to have a guy like Tyreek Hill sprinting at full speed coming out of the end zone, and he's going to be able to get his top speed going, catch the ball, and go, and then the kickoff team can go. You're going to see like some possessions, like this year, take the overs in week 1, because you're going to see like this kick return is going to set teams up at like the 40, the 50-yard line, and like it's going to turn into a field, what is it called? Field
position?
Field position game when it comes to this new kicker. This is everything that I've been listening to and people are talking about in camps and stuff, saying that a lot of these guys, like they're going to look at putting guys with actual like playmaking ability back there, because you can get to the 50-yard line easily because the kickoff team can't move, and you're going to have a guy going at full speed like a Tyreek Hill just catching the ball like 20 miles per hour instantly. You're not going to be able to catch him until at least the 30. Like he's going to be at the 30 before you even get to him.
I don't care.
Field position is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
you're going to see.
I do agree. Games. Both things can be true. Booner, you were right, and also I don't want JMO out there. Right? So put like
but like it's the same thing. It's like if you have the ball at the
maybe get one, Vaki gets one.
But Jeff, if you have the ball at 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line, right?
Yeah, that's not
you're doing it. But no. It's like it's like just another play. Say like it's a 1st and 10 at the 25, and you give an end around to JMO and he runs to the 50. Instead of that, it's just let JMO go on kick return, run the ball to the 50, and it's like essentially just an extra play. And now you're.
I just hate the thought of a player getting injured on special teams. That's like valuable.
I think like that's why you draft a Vaki. Like I just think to your point, everything you're saying is true. If you give Tyreek Hill, Jameson,
you're right.
You give those guys the ball, but again, they're moving at their top speed. That's going to be a hit. That's going to be a collision that they already don't need. If you have a guy that can do the same type of purpose, if you're getting to the 32 instead of the 25, whatever, I'm obviously making up numbers, then that's 40, fine. But I just think there's some guys that are too important to put out there to risk on special teams. There's 3 phases of the game. Draft the guy to put on special teams.
You guys are looking at this. You guys are looking at.
If you're down by a touchdown with 30 seconds left, all right, put Tyreek, put JMO back there. But starting the game off, especially early on in the season when you're relying on these guys, that's just an easy way to make the season go off course, in my opinion.
You're looking at it like the old kickoff, to where it's like we don't want them on special teams, but like the reason they put this new one in, I don't know. Like, hold on. Like the reason they put this in is because they're looking at it to where it's like this is another part of the game now, to where it's like this is actually an advantage that you could take advantage of.
Yeah.
To where the kickoff team can't run, and you're getting the ball at the 10, like you're catching the ball at the 10-yard line. They have to wait until you catch the ball at the 10 to go. Like if you have your fastest guy back there, he's running 30 yards. You're getting the ball at the 40 every time. So like it's no longer like you're throwing your guys on special teams. No, this is like a play that's actually going to matter in the football game now, whether it's the end of the game or beginning. Like this is an advantage now. Before it wasn't an advantage because they're sprinting at you head on head from when the ball's in the air, and it's like that's a dangerous
full
play.
speed.
But now they've made it to where it's not as dangerous, and they've made it to where this can actually be an advantage, to where it's more.
So are you saying you want J-Mo out there?
I'm saying there's going to be times where I would not be mad if J-Mo was back there to return the ball because he's going to give you field position.
I just would much rather see Khalif Raymond, Baki back there, guys that still have burner type of speed. And then situationally, if J-Mo's out there and the game's on the line, I get it. But it's just, again, like to what you're saying, yes, it's an advantage, but it's advantage regardless if you have what type of special athlete you have out there, especially when you look at the Lions, the special teams unit that they put together, bring back CJ Moore, re-signing Jerm, all those type of pieces. I think that's going to help. And that having that is why you don't need a J-Mo, because if you get a Khalif Raymond, Leaf's been a great returner for this team for a while. Put Leaf back there. Don't put a guy that you're relying as your wide receiver too, because the amount of non-contact injuries that have happened around the NFL this year or
again
shot through the roof. I get it. It's a different play. I understand.
It's not the same play as a normal kickoff to where it's like a non-contact on the kickoff.
Matter. There's guys who tear their ACLs. There's guys who tear their
and he can tear J-Mo tore his ACL in a normal play in the national championship game.
So why are we putting him out there for more chances to get hurt?
Anyone can. It's football, dude. You're not going to.
Fine.
All right, so you might as well play J-Mo half of the play so he doesn't get hurt next year. Like that's the conversation. That's why I hate the conversation.
No, I just don't. No, I don't. Maybe we just.
If there's an advantage to it now. If there's an advantage to it now, I wouldn't be mad if J-Mo's back there to where you instead of getting the ball at the 25, let's get J-Mo out there and you give us 15 yards on a kick return extra every time. Like get the ball at the 40. Think about that, and if you get a good kicker, you're one or maybe 2 first downs away from being in field goal range instantly because you have an elite kicker returner.
But you're right in theory. I just disagree. I'd rather him take one less hit on special
like
teams
this
and get it in the game.
So should we not let J-Mo do end
runs?
That's essentially the same thing. Like you're giving him another opportunity.
Hold on. Stop. Booner, is that on offense or special teams?
It doesn't matter. The kick return is turning into an offensive play essentially now. Like that's what this is turning into.
No, but
that's why they made this.
Michael's comment makes my point. Should we not let J-Mo take an end around then? Yes. But you're also saying you're going to give him a return on top of the end around, which I'd rather just have the end around. That's just to me. Keep your best players. And I think J-Mo's really good. I'd keep him out there on the field making plays. I don't want an extra hit from special teams. That's my whole argument. I get where you're coming from, Booner. I just take that hit returning the ball away. Okay. I'd rather have it on the end around, not have both. You know, it's not like you're going to give him less touches because he's returning kicks. You get what I'm saying? He's going to get the same amount of touches and he's playing special teams. That's where I'm at. And I'm sure, Lukas, you see it the same way with that. But it's fine. I get your point.
Off topic, but Jake Rogers carrying the Tigers to a W.
There we go, Jake Rogers. What a dog.
2 homers.
Tigers won?
No, it's 2-1. He just hit a homer in the 8th. He hit a homer in the 3rd. They're up 2-1.
All right. Well,
Schoolboo's
great way to end the show. Great way to end the show. We'll get out of here. It's 10:03. We're a little over. We appreciate all you guys. Don't forget, get your merch. officialctsports.com. New merch is live.
Is there a link?
Merch is coming.
Drop the link, Jeff.
Could you guys do it for me? Can I get some help here?
Where is it? Is it in the description? Hold on, I got it. I got it.
And until tomorrow, we'll be there. Make sure you are too. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then Wednesday we'll have John Macaroon. So it'll be a great week. Until then, we appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Stay blessed out there.
Deuces.